Championship Sunday, RLCS SSA Qualifier number 2. And it all comes down to this. Once again, I'm Greybeard, joined today by Machtfish and Ultrazim. And Machtfish, you missed some serious action yesterday. Qualifiers, I know you caught up on the action. So someone completely outside of it. Your thoughts very quickly on what transpired in our fourth final.
I mean, you could really tell it by half of them were close matches and really interesting series to watch. The other half of them were just curb stoms, where SSA showed their dominance, especially Mongolia and Limitless, really stepping up to the plate. The other two fixtures, Young Money Clan, 77 blocks, defensive masterclass or offensive masterclass, no matter how you want to put it, between those two, and Drift Queen's Bonjour going to 7. That was wild.
And it was a great start to the day, Ultrazim. I mean, we spoke about it at the halfway point. We said we're halfway through. We've had 13 games already out of a possible 14. We thought we were in for a really long day, but then we had a pretty quick wrap up after that.
Yeah, it was definitely a tale of two stories at that stage. I mean, at that stage, we were looking at setting a record. I think the previous one was 18, and I was going, okay, we played 13. There's a minimum of 4 per series, so we're going to be sitting, okay, wow, that's an impressive, okay, no, we're down to just the 21. So we beat it, but only fractionally. But I mean, those later games as an SSA local were fantastic to watch. There was such a good showcase of what the SSA top league looks like. You know, the guys were playing fantastic. They had such good control of the game. The first two, though, and I got to cast that Bonjour game, man, that was a contest to watch. And your pulse meter was certainly one that I think was reflected across the region.
Absolutely. It was certainly probably the most entertaining game of the day, without a doubt. And before we go too much further, it bears pointing out here that with all of this action going on, and there is a lot of action going on, Qualifier number 3 gets underway next weekend, and signups and registrations close for that tomorrow evening, 5 o'clock. Registrations close. So if you have not yet signed up for the third qualifier, you need to go and get that done today or early tomorrow. Do not leave it for the last minute. Currently 60 teams are signed up, so there's a lot of you that haven't yet re-signed, so get in there and get it done so we can have more of this action next weekend.
Especially SSA teams. I mean, we're sitting at this regional with a 20% drop in SSA signups. We fought so hard for RLCS. We've got it now. Yes, there's a little bit more competition, but that's what the point of this is. Get better. Even if you're not one of the teams who's looking at that top 2 spot, get in there and get the most exposure you can right now. I want to see more SSA signups.
Absolutely, and the open qualifier nature of it does mean that you are going to be getting to play with better players, higher ranked players. It is invaluable experience, so get in there and get it done. But let's turn around. Well, let's have a look at the quarterfinal bracket and how we got to where we are now. Of course, starting off with 94 teams in the qualifiers, 16 in the Swiss, 8 yesterday. And there, those 2 series at the bottom, you see the 4-3 and the 4-2, and then Mongolia 4-0 over Strathclyde, and Firehawks going down to Limitless 4-0. And the 4 teams in the semi-finals, very close to the same 4 teams, Machtfish, that were here in Qualifier 1. Limitless were there, Mongolia were there, Young Money Clan were there. Drift Queens, though, replacing next for that 4th semi-final berth.
It's one change, but I think we can see that a top 4 or top 3 are sort of forming themselves no matter where they land up after the Swiss stage. Limitless, Mongolia, and Young Money Clan seem to be just a tiny step above the rest. That's being said, Bonjour now twice missed out against an EU team in the quarters. This time it was Drift Queens. Last time it was Next Aqua Vitesse. And I feel like Bonjour could make that step up to be one of the top 4 teams, but so does 77 Blocks. Just a lot of it depends, I feel like, on the Swiss results of how we get here. And the unfortunate truth of this bracket now is that we are guaranteed another SSA local versus import grand final.
I think one of the big factors about those teams that didn't make it through now, namely 77 Blocks and Bonjour, was consistency. I think both teams, we can look back over the whole weekend, and Bonjour, when they started their first Swiss stage, I think it was game number 2, they came in there and their defense was kind of all over the place. We saw in the match yesterday, 77 Blocks was stellar on defense, but when they got down to the other side of the field, they just lacked that little bit of luster for some of the times. Other times, both of these teams showed that they could take a very convincing win. I mean, 77 Blocks managed in one of their games a 4-2 victory where they looked in much better control of the game as a whole. And so it really does come down to, we know what your peak looks like, and your peak is certainly good enough to take you through to the semifinals, hell, even maybe the grand finals. But it's just, can you do that reliably, I think, for these guys? What did we do right in those moments, and what did we do wrong when we lost our series? And so that, if you can fix that, man, those guys have not reached their ceiling just yet, I think.
Yeah, look at, Bonjour, Auglis. I think there's a few teams, WRG, who are going to be feeling pretty poorly about what their performances, and they will look back at them and go, we could have gone further, and we probably should have. And I don't think the gap between where they need to be is that big, but it does need to be closed. And it may well be a bit of a mental thing. We were talking before the stream started. Sometimes when you find yourselves in a winning position, you need that mental jump as well. We saw it with Bonjour. The finish line was right in sight, 35 seconds from the end of Game 6, and they were ahead, and they just didn't get there. It's sort of like it's those small mental jumps, and this, we are being forged in broader competition, more competition, and Magfest, that's got to be good for the region in the long run.
It definitely will be, because of that competition, because of how differently the import teams approach the game as well. Their composure, having played against top-level competition for so long now in rank, in EU, in scrims, and whatnot in the national leagues, they've faced really top-level opponents, and they've seen that composure firsthand. That's how they improved themselves. That's how they got there, and I think 77 Blocks, going back to them, I think out of the entire pool of SSA, Limitless might be the only team in the entire region right now that has a more composed defense than 77 Blocks. Otherwise, they are absolutely supreme whenever they're being put under pressure. And that's the sort of level that every team in SSA should aspire to.
Absolutely, and I think we will start to see more and more of it as time goes. But let's have a look at our schedule today. Quite simply, we have 2 semi-final matches to play, and then a grand final. And this is Swiss bracket into single elimination, so no extra lives. It's do or die from the beginning. So 2 semi-finals. We start from the bottom of the bracket. Drift Queens up against Young Money Clan, and then our last semi-final will be Schmongolian Limitless, and then after that, of course, the grand final. All of those best of 7. So our first semi-final, Drift Queens, Young Money Clan, and Drift Queens had a roster change between Qualifier 1 and 2. Machtfish, does it make sense given that change, that they find themselves where they are?
I mean, that changes us a different sort of play you're bringing in. You're getting rid of Twinzer, who's a bit more defensive, who's a bit more passive. You're getting in Crypto, who, of course, has ecstatic mechanics as an X-Pulse freestyler, and it sort of works better as a union, I feel like, between Fusion and Lazy Bear, and then you as recruit Crypto. It shows in this placement as well. Like with Twinzer, they didn't make it out of Swiss. Now they not only made it out of Swiss, they just made it to top 4, and I believe they have a shot against Young Money Clan. But the one thing is, Young Money Clan are just supreme on offense. They are so good at keeping pressure.
I think it's going to be important with that roster change, actually. You talk about Twinzer. Yesterday, we saw him doing a lot for 77 Blocks, where he was able to take the ball up to himself and then run it along the wall or something and really break that pressure, get some progress down the length of the field. And I think that Crypto is a fantastic midfield player, but it really could come down to that. If Young Money can just cramp up everything and then constantly lay in shot after shot, and I mean, averaging 10 shots per game, is no mean feat. There's very few teams who can stand up to it, and even 77 Blocks, with their reputation, was hard pressed into that sort of defensive mindset. So that lack of twinser, it all comes down to, can you break out? Can you pop it to Crypto in the midfield, or use some nice little team passes to be able to find a little bit of space? And then I think we're going to see Crypto starting to shine how he does.
All right, well, we see the player comparisons side by side, and just a reminder to all the teams competing, get your images into ACGL. That looks it almost looks anonymous there with all those players, but there they are, and the chat vote has opened up, and Young Money Clan, they have their fans, and the fans are showing up, they're voting. So let's see if we can get some Drift Queens fans in there and voting. So Drift Queens Ultrism seemed to me to have they had a rough start. I think they were swept early on by, including one of their former teammates there. So they were off to a rough start, but then they seem to have been getting better and better throughout the tournament, where Young Money Clan have been fairly consistent. They've been winning their games, winning their series, dropping a game here and there, but getting the job done. So I wonder if their improvement, if they're getting better throughout, would help see them overcome a team like YMC.
Yeah, they've certainly improved, but have they done it enough is the real question. I mean, we saw Young Money Clan yesterday putting in the massive amount of shots. I was just looking when we had all 6 players displayed there. Poor Nugget there was sitting at 4.6, I think it was, shots per game. And that just comes down to yesterday. He put in 10 shots, but it was only 1 goal. I think this is going to be the key. The defense of our Drift Queen side has improved quite a lot, but can they do that just long enough? You know, they can take advantage of Young Money Crew's inability to finish off all the hard work that they put in at the beginning, and then the counterattack. I definitely think Drift Queen's counterattack is a potent force to be reckoned with. And so if they can start to unlock that, you know, just like I was saying earlier, break away a little bit and then put the pressure back, Young Money could be caught on the back foot, or having invested a little bit too much if they get their timing right.
Well, if they can counter, that would be a valuable tool, I think, because we saw, I mean, the downside Muckfish of YMC yesterday was the shot to goal ratio was a little rough, which was very complimentary of 77's defense, but still, that's a lot of shots to be shooting. But if they can correct that, that's going to be hard to overcome.
I mean, overall, they had a shot percentage of 18% yesterday against 77 Blocks. And while I'm more leaning towards giving props to 77 Blocks defense than poor shooting accuracy on side of Young Money Clan, you can't shoot. In 2 games, they had shot 36 shots and they've scored 2. That is abysmal. I'm sorry. At this level, no defense in the world is that good to save this many shots away from target. So the main thing for Young Money Clan to focus on today in their first matchup, but then also if they should win going into the grand final, is that they definitely need to put the chances away. Don't be too fancy with your shot placement. Just as a base of attack, they're British, right? They know Brexit football. Just hit it really hard, and then you'll see it from there.
All right, the chat vote so far, 73% think YMC have got it. DQ have 27% of the vote. How do we feel about that, Ultrism? Are we leaning that heavily in the way of chat as well? Or your thoughts here?
Oh, okay. Yesterday I was very sad because I put early in the day my full prediction for all 4 matches that came out, and I got denied by 1 match. A single match, and that was Drift Queens managing to rally at the end there. I mean, the first 2 games I thought, oh man, my prediction of Bonjour going through is a little bit sketchy. Then we saw Bonjour rally, and I was like, okay, cool, I'm still on track right now. And at the last moment of game number 6 especially, came through. And so I believe that Drift Queens, when they are firing, can take things off anyone. We saw Young Money dropping 2 games yesterday in their quarterfinals. So I feel like there has been a sense of weakness there. Young Money can be overcome right now. And I'm going to give it to the underdogs. I'm going to give Drift Queens this, but it's going to be a hard fight.
All right, and Mark.
look, I live for one storyline and one storyline only, and that storyline being Young Money Clan winning this regional, so we have a complete shootout in Regional 3 for that major spot in Copenhagen. So if Young Money Clan want to make it to Copenhagen, they have to dispatch of Drift Queens, and they have to do it very, very easily. Give me Young Money Clan for the storyline.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the with the stats, the history of the limited history we have, and I think Young Money Clan are probably good enough. But let's get into the game and over to our casters, Pyro, J, and Mockfish.
All right, very well, Mockfish. Let's get it. We've got 4 Englishmen and 2 Portuguese players to begin RLCS SSA semifinals of Championship Sunday. Maybe not how we expected it, but if you've been paying attention, Young Money Clan have been sweeping the competition of this region, made it to the grand finals last qualifier, and intend to do the same today.
They certainly intend to return to a grand final, to have a second bite at the absolute juggernaut that is Limitless. But we're only at the beginning of the day, and in a best of 7 series, everything can happen. Last time around, of course, they had to go to the entire length to beat next Arca Vitesse. Do Drift Queens pose them similar problems here, perhaps in our first semi-final?
Oh, we'll see. Already, Lazy Bear. How about a take on the counterattack? Tell you what, counterattack's something to pay attention to, but as well as a shot from Fusion, it's laid up softly. Young Money Clan, you spoke extensively about how their possession game is very good, but they don't come away with as many goals, and they may be a bit vulnerable to those quick transitions. Something for Drift Queens to maybe focus on at the start of the series.
Maybe let Young Money Clan come to you, and then exactly like this from Crypto, use the overcommit. Young Money Clan, the balance not quite right. Motion misses, Nugget doesn't make contact, and then Crypto can easily walk the ball in. That's how we set it on the desk, and that's how it's happening right here.
Crypto came close to nailing in about half the shots he took in his quarterfinals matchup, his playoffs debut of the regional. Trying to do just the same now with 100% shooting percentage. Crypto, that shot taker to keep your eye on for Drift Queens.
Definitely not to be underestimated, but neither are Young Money Clan. Riho, flip reset, tries to dunk his way through Fusion. No cigar here, nothing to be gained for Young Money Clan just now, but you can see they're already taking back offensive position. They're trying to establish their trademark pressure.
Riho with the demolition, and how about the shot as well? You get the demo, and if that's not enough, if your teammates can't clean up, might as well do it yourself.
Might as well. Crypto caught at the front post, and Rio says, thank you very much, I'll take that 50-50. And with that, equal after about a minute 30 played. Neither of the teams able to get any sort of persistent play down the pitch. Maybe now Young Money Clan. It's well tried by Rio, but the start well read wasn't to be.
Aside from that one transition goal we've seen from Drift Queens, we haven't seen as much possession. They're looking certainly to get their footing in this matchup, and I think what's going to be key there is getting a solid stop, a progression of blocks against YMC. You see Nugget trying to work the flip reset, but it's immediately followed up by a clear, by a boom to the other side. That's what Drift Queens need to get settled into this matchup.
Booms to the other side. We've seen them already exploited once with their go-ahead goal earlier. That long ball that could really catch Young Money Clan out. They are known to be very aggressively positioned on the pitch, so that certainly is a tactic that Drift Queens are working with, although right now worked only once from a few times they've tried. They've already on the back foot, and Nugget puts it inside. Oh, that's beautiful by Riho.
It's beautiful, but it's also a little too easy. Riho, perfectly positioned. Didn't need to move an inch off the pass from Nugget. Great cohesion coming out of YMC.
Great cohesion, and look at that beautiful pass. If you want anyone to pass it to you in that instant, you want it to be Nugget, because that was an absolute peach right on his bumper. 2-1, Young Money Clan after having a bit of a difficulty settling into the series in the opening minute, have now found their footing and are putting the pressure onto the Drift Queens.
And you really got to pay attention to when teams do get fired up, because with a lot of these matches, it's been a seesaw effort. Drift Queens in their quarterfinals matchup won the first 2 games with an 11-0 scoreline differential. Ridiculous. But then they lost their next 3 games. Drift Queens, they're very momentum based in the playoffs from what we've seen so far. So getting a good start in this matchup is of the utmost importance.
And that good start is having to wait, but wait no longer. Crypto has arrived. The debutante makes it 2 for 2.
There you go, 2 for 2 for Crypto. Expect nothing less. If Crypto gets his chance, he's gonna nail it. He's gonna make it worth every inch. 2-2 on the scoreline with just under 2 minutes remaining.
It's an opening battle, and it's a battle where especially the accuracy of Drift Queens shines through. Only 6 shots, twice they found the back of the net, and on the other side, Rio is gonna make a 3rd one for YMC.
Should we clear the field, Mox? Just say 1v1 between Riho and Crypto. Hey, 2 great assists coming out of Nugget. That is the 2nd one we've seen from that player. But we have all 5 goals scored from those 2 individuals. Riho, just about at 700 points already in this game.
3 goals and 3 saves from Riho, and he might even get an assist here, Crypto. 1 save motion to the top ends. 4-2, lead has been doubled.
All right, Motion. We'll leave you on the field. We'll give you your chances as well. Great shot, great placement, top corner. You see Lazy Bear there on the goal line, ready to fend away a soft shot or ill placed. But Motion makes the most of it. 2-goal lead. Maybe put down the 1 off the kickoff. No, Motion's got that saved.
Motion has it saved, but Fusion is coming in for a second bite at the cherry. Rio gets a long clear. Crypto finds the demo and a great ball control out of the corner. Immaculate position from Crypto. Gets his team so much distance down that pitch. Unfortunately, the defense from YMC already well positioned for any sort of counterattack coming their way. And after that first goal, I feel like Pyro, they've already made one little adjustment, and that is to keep 3rd a bit deeper than what they would like.
Yeah, and no, I'm on the same page here, Mock. Drift Queens, if they get an offensive try, especially on transition, they'll send the house. They'll put everyone on the mark. You saw 2 shot takers from that initial pass go up. Guess what? That leaves no one else for a follow-up chance. You know, you are not going to keep possession that way. You are not going to get a flurry of shots, pepper in the net. No, it's one and done. And boy, was it done. They had no defense left, and YMC made them pay for that.
You can't give YMC any sort of space in your own back half, otherwise it's going to be very, very painful moving forward. There's also another opportunity is wasted. It wouldn't have made a big significant difference, but still maybe 1 for the road. On the other side, Riho nearly getting the fortuitous bounce for a 6th as clock slowing down, and now what we've seen with the 2 teams can offer after 1 game being played. What does Drift Queens really need to change here moving forward, Pyro?
Well, I want to say put a hand up, but they registered 8 saves in that game loss. How do you register 8 saves but still concede 5 goals? The pressure is too much for the Drift Queens as they lose this first game. It goes to Young Money Clan. Part of it's going to be Mockfish just instilling that pressure we're talking about. They don't have possession. They don't have that rotation built in to hold possession and maybe make YMC sweat. Their goals, they're few and far between because they get those one-off chances.
It's only those one-off chances, but they're executed so brilliantly by YMC, and that's sort of the issue here that I see is I don't see anything too spectacular from YMC. And that's sort of the problem. They're just doing what they want to do, and they're doing it incredibly well. Whether it's bumping the 3rd man out of defense, whether it's finding that passing play, finding the teammate in the center, they are just completely in sync with one another.
I mean, you want to talk about in sync? Let's talk about Nugget. Those passes were immaculate. He's got a heartbeat sensor on his teammates at all times, knows the exact position on the field, and says, yeah, I'm going to dart this ball right in your lap, and you're just going to send it in the net. Part of the thing now for Drift Queens is say, all right, if Nuggets got the ball, let me keep an eye on the teammates. Let me intercept these passing plays. Let's get in front of these passes to knock away the bread and butter of YMC.
And that's where communication comes in, right? Where you not only have to be aware of, okay, where's the ball? Where's the opponent behind the ball? And who's going to challenge him? But also you have to keep an eye out of where are the other two players positioned? Is there a potential pass open? Is he going for a solo play? You have to be very, very clear and very, very concise in your communication moving forward on the Drift Queen defense. And that might be where an issue comes in with a bit of a language barrier, Portuguese and one Englishman, so they have to communicate in English. We don't know how well these Portuguese players know, of course, and how quickly they can think, because it's always difficult communicating in a foreign language.
I can only imagine, Mocked. I'm going to take your word for it, my friend, as we continue on. Game number 2. The homework sheet, pretty extensive for Drift Queens on all the advantages and changes that we're recommending for them here, but the path forward clear for YMC. Win another game, do what you've been doing. Nugget wants to do that exact thing with a passing option there, but it's fended off well against by Drift Queens. Back pass to Little Motion as he carries us all the way across the field. Crypto prepared for it on the backboard.
Crypto was prepared, but you could still see the back pass utilized by YMC just to keep possession, just to keep the ball away from any orange player. It's Nugget now going for the solo play, faking the pass, and the shot is good. It's even better than good. It's sublimely placed.
You get a solo play off the wall and you want to make the most of it. An early shot's not what you expect. It may just be a pass, but when it's that well placed, when it's cradled in the corner, it's too good.
Just too good, and that's what I said earlier. You have to be aware of the options. No one thought that Nugget had a solo player there as his option, but I believe they do not care in the orange half. Lazy Bear putting one quickly to equalize.
I'll tell you what, the shot placement has improved overall today. The top 4 of this region is asking no questions of the height of the crossbar or the width of the post. They're utilizing every edge of it to enhance their goal scoring. Lovely stuff in the first minute or so.
That's the sort of accuracy you want to see. And honestly, Pyro, I sort of expect that accuracy come Championship Sunday. You want to win the region, you've got to put the shots in between the sticks and not on them.
That's fair. And you got to do it if you're going to take down YMC. An overarching question here after the first qualifier is, can anyone take this team down? There seems to be the top of SSA, Limitless of the locals, and the top of the imports as well, being YMC. So Drift Queens, they're getting their, I think, first stab, actually, at this team to try and take them down to see if they can be their kryptonite. And while they're going toe-to-toe with them, they still need that lead in one of these games.
And whilst they do have crypto, they are certainly struggling with the knight part of being their kryptonitis. The Englishman will try but not succeed with the flip reset shenanigans, but he doesn't need to. He's got Lazy Bear with a rocket on target.
You give any of these strikers space and they'll make it count. Motion tries to read this off the sidewall. Just can't get a piece of it. And you make those little mistakes, Mocked, oh, they're gonna punish.
Oh, they will punish you for any sort of ever so slight slip up. As Motion, after the kickoff, infuriated by having just conceded one, YMC already back on attack. Rio finds the center pass, doesn't find a teammate.
It is kind of funny to see Motion go for the bump on the air dribbling player, land on the ground, and then go for a bump on one of the goalies for Drift Queens. Definitely, you can see that frustration, maybe taking a good productive form on the field. It doesn't give them a goal. In fact, it gives a counterattack to Fusion. It's been a little quieter in this game, but loud spoken as they kick it the wrong way. Lazy Bear still gets a hold of it to deny the counterattack from YMC. Shot gets taken. Crypto, though, he's got it handled. Moving across the field. Lazy Bears that follow. Slow plays, utilizing the space. Air dribble there, 50-50. Bends out to the other side. Crypto next. Ball off the backboard. Nobody is guarding that backboard. YMC. They've got everyone on the goal line here, Mocked, and it's looking a little shaky.
looking shaky, but they still got it out in the end, and the counterattack is really quick. Rio to motion, but Crypto was there in the nick of time to deny goal-scoring opportunity for YMC. But what can be said about the second game, it's certainly much more open than the first one was. Fusion having to do a lot of work on defense, though.
Off the backboard here, Lazy Bear. There's a touch Crypto. That's errant. That gives the chance for Nugget to set something up. Great 50-50. There it is for Riho for the shot. Fusion denies it. And these are the saves that have been needed from the Drift Queens. Can they continue their success? They can! Lazy Bear, goal line deflection. Setting up Crypto on the takeaway. Flip reset across the field, coast to coast. And now they're ready to apply the pressure. Backboard touch. Lazy Bear next to rotation. There's a miss from Nugget. Riho tries to maintain composure here, but it's already fended away. Drift Queens in the face of YMC.
Drift Queens in the face. Finally, someone is applying the sort of YMC pressure to them. Riho trying to keep possession. Fusion comes in for 50-50. Now it's only Crypto versus Nugget. Gets played over. Crypto does well to recover. Does well to help out Lazy Bear in defense.
Riho denying this in the midfield. Fusion wants to send up. And Fusion, I think they've got the right idea here. What they want to do is not transfer that possession so easily, but Riho given a lot of space. There's a take across the midfield. Oh no, 2 misses on the defensive line. Drift Queens, they're breaking apart in the worst time. Shot there and takes 2 to save. Crypto with the bicycle kick, and Lazy Bear registers the save. It's little motion now into the skies. Riho gets 1 touch, wants to make it a goal, gets the dunk. Ball's back on the goal line. Crypto, the clear that could save the game. Motion, one last effort for Young Money Clan, but the ball to the ground. Drift Queens, they'll equalize the series.
They get it over the line, but oh my. Drift Queens were pushing. And they were pushing it. They were pushing it on defense, and they had to give it everything for defense as well. But they got on, and they held on. And they could finally say, yo, we've taken it. We equalized the series. Now they have some foundation to take that momentous run up.
Talk about the difference maker as well here, Mocked. In order to get that win, 8 saves again, but this time only conceding 1 goal. Again, I think it partly comes down to holding some of that possession, really fending away the YMC pressure, the possession. It's been released. It's been relinquished. Control has now equalized across the field. And Drift Queens, they made their mark where it counted. Now, if you want to talk about Young Money Clan, they did concede goals off of little mistakes. And you talked about it in game number 1, Mocked. If you're going to be in the top 4, you're going to be hitting your shots. You're going to be consistent. You're not going to be making those little flubs. And you can see how it paid the price for YMC.
Yeah, they definitely did pay the price. And also, I feel like the shooting opportunities, they had great shots on target or great shooting positions to put it on target. But sometimes the place was just lacking. It was in the center of the net. It was a sort of half height where you could easily put in. Yes, they forced double commits, but I also sort of forced the saves with that poor shooting placement. So I still feel like YMC's offense is a force of nature, but they just have to pace themselves a little bit better as to when do they want to supply all their goals.
Well, let's get another supply here. Game number 3, and Nugget, well, no better way than to issue the supply chain than with the first take here. Double tap and in.
Double tap in. Crypto misses that one by just an inch or 2. And that gives all the opportunity to Nugget with that go-ahead goal after 5 seconds early kickoff lead for YMC, and the perfect response after being shut out in the past 2 minutes of game 2.
And I'll tell you what, we can't really speak enough about Nugget so far in this series. The only goal in game number 2 for this team supplied a majority of them in game number 1, and now trying to get a second already in game number 3. If one player's in their flow state, so to speak, in this game, it might just be that player. Motion, that's a fantastic second touch off the ceiling to set up Nugget again.
Set up Nugget, but look at Riho's lateral touch there to get it to motion in the first place. Not wanting to shoot it themselves or take it central, no. Use your teammate on the wing. let them get the ball back in, and that's brilliantly choreographed attack from YMC. Nugget at the end just has to walk in the open net. Yes, the pass was good, but the pass even before the assist was quite better.
Cohesion coming together here for Young Money Clan. Nugget had a whole lot of space to work with there on that attack, but it still peppers the net. Very close save there from Lazy Bear, and an important one as well. Going down 3-0 in that first minute may not be reconcilable. Fusion, a high touch just to slow down the effort, just to get the team back on the goal line. Offers that second one as well. Crypto just won the beat here on the flip reset, takes it down to the ground. Riho able to deny.
Riho just denying having Crypto red, but Lazy Bear comes in with another belter. Nugget this time around gets it to the side. Crypto just pounces that one on Tides, not too dangerous, and Motion even beating Fusion in the midfield. Could be problematic, but no follow-up here from YMC. Pressure subsiding for just a moment.
Now it's Fusion out to the other side of the field. Oh, he's gonna get a touch of this. Motion couldn't keep up with the play. Might be his first goal of this series here, but Fusion coast to coast.
Oh, he just gets a good 50-50 there, doesn't he? He lands on the ball, gets a second touch after the initial dunk. Motion pretty much did everything right until he didn't. Until he didn't have the perfect touch for the 50, and that sometimes you're just gonna have to deal with that. This is not going your way. Lazy Bear trying for the immediate equalizer, tries again. In comes Fusion. Can he get a second one? No, he cannot. Fusion Motion is there. So is Crypto, but that shot really should have been, and it doesn't matter. Still, the attack is commencing, and finally, Lazy Bear breaks through the defense.
At a certain point, it had to, right? How many reinforcements can you have on the line there? Yeah, I know, double commit on that last goal, but can you blame them? That's the fourth, maybe the fifth shot in succession, and sometimes the comms, they just break down.
Sometimes they just break down, and sometimes you just have to play on pure instinct. I'm sure Motion didn't want to bump Rio away, but alas, he did. And that's what opened the net there at the end for Lazy Bear. 2-2 Drift Queens, after pretty much being non-existent in this entire game, suddenly find themselves back equal.
That's how the tides can turn here. Talked earlier about how momentum-based Drift Queens are, especially in their quarterfinal showing. Yesterday, they proved that much. If they get fired up, they'll certainly be ready to take the test to YMC. Forcing Riho to get that Savior's Medal. Another clear down the stretch. Riho setting up with a blank canvas. What can he paint? That's the touch across the midfield. From the width of the field we go. Nugget with boost here. Wants to double tap. No, denied on the backboard. Drift Queens not allowing that backboard touch so easily.
Drift Queens having to keep a close hold on the backboard. Now Motion and Riho both are up, and neither one is sure who's to take it. They wanted to pinch, but the pinch did not come through. And quite on the contrary, it's a long clear from Fusion, causing trouble for YMC's defense. It really feels like, Pyro, that Drift Queens have just woken up here in this series. They are certainly bringing the fight to YMC and making YMC work diligently and very hard for it.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, you mentioned how you're like, you know what, I want to see YMC take this qualifier. That makes regional or qualifier number 3 so much more interesting. How about Drift Queens taking this win? That certainly shakes things up in a way that I don't think Drift Queens were in the top 8 last qualifier, and suddenly they'd get a top 2. The shakeup could be serious here if Drift Queens continue to find their footing. They've got 2 in a row. May concede this one. No, Fusion can't get there in time. Just a pixel away.
Hat-trick hero Nugget finds the tight angle, gets enough power behind it, and it's ever so close from Fusion on the goal line. I'm gonna say go on a limb here. If he had low ping, I think he would have saved it.
Yeah, well, now you're sounding like my teammates in ranked. It was lag, bro. It was lag. I had it. But yeah, we continue on here. Hey, 2-goal comeback earlier from the Drift Queens. They just need 1 now. In the final minute, Crypto from the ceiling wants to work this on a solo hand, but Rio has other things in mind. All left for, okay, Fusion at a later time. But they're just getting these boomer balls. They're not able to set up a powerful counterattack. And Mock, they're running out of time to make it work.
Certainly running out of time because as well YMC is establishing their midfield control. They're trying everything to keep that ball deep in the orange half. They don't want to defend if they don't absolutely have to. Riho gets it behind Fusion, gets it to motion as well. Nugget has a 1v1 opportunity, and we know how good this man is at once. Unfortunately, the crossbar will deny him in this instance.
This is their chance, though. Crypto flip reset, sends it the opposite way. That's not where Lazy Bear wanted that ball to drop. Was playing the 50-50 instead. Fusion on a touch, it gets down to the corner, and YMC hold their ground. A nearly flawless final minute of midfield control and possession to close Game 3.
And it's been pretty much, besides the sort of spec that the two Drift Queens goal have been, I feel like it was the best YMC we've seen yet in terms of their ability to control the pace of the game, their ability to control the spacing on the field, and just their overall speed. This was just a very well clicking YMC with, of course, our little star nugget coming in through.
Yeah, you say a little star. He's shining bright right now. That's, again, the 4 straight goals that he has scored just for the team of Young Money Clan. And you've got to be impressed by that effort. Listen, if somebody's fired up on your team, you got to feed them, right? So the beast has been awakened, and it's only about continuing that momentum as they move on through the series.
Exactly. The beast has been awakened, but so is the entirety of Young Money Clan, I feel like. Again, they put on over 10 shots. Again, they forced 7 saves out of Drift Queens. The reality of it seems to be that if you play Young Money Clan, you gotta need to make a lot of saves, because they will put in shot after shot after shot, and they will put most of them on target even.
Yeah, you mentioned that about the last series they were in the quarterfinals between 2 games. We won't talk about how many goals they scored, but they did put on 36 shots between games 2 and 4 of their quarterfinals debut. The pressure's serious, and if you crack under the pressure, Drift Queens, you don't have any chance at the finals bid. We've got a 2-1 series lead for Young Money Clan as they look to complete the series in the next 2 games.
Looking to complete the series. I'm sure, though, the Drift Queens will have to say something about that endeavor in particular, but they have to show it on the pitch. Lazy Bear takes midfield control. Crypto has a redirect open to him. Rather goes to the back, but drops down from the skies, but there is motion to get it away.
Gotta be worried when Crypto has that ball, setting up a high double tap for themselves. They have come close to the flip reset as well. When you've got that solo caliber ability, Crypto can make it work, even if you don't have the team ready on the possession after the kickoff. Trying to corral it to the corner for themselves, though, and beat every engagement. Oh my goodness, Crypto doing it well. Gets the flick on the first touch. Lazy Bear off the sidewall, loses control, and motion already set up for the counter. 50-50 out to Riho. Pass up the backboard. He's going for the bump. Can't find it. Neither can the shot be found. Close chance for YMC.
Close chance. It just breaks down because of no follow-up being applied by YMC, but now they haven't got an opportunity. Nugget, long range effort, not on target. You see in Drift Queens being a little bit too overzealous on that counter-attacking push, try to punish them for it. Alas, not enough accuracy found. This time maybe done better by Riho, who's looking for the dunk, finds a delayed double touch as well in the center. It's going to make it awkward for the defense. They still can get it down from under. Nugget lurking around, finds the demo, and Lazy Bear, a fortuitous respawn.
Spotter right on the ball. There's 4 positions you can land, and that was definitely the best one of them. But they've got to land on the goal line here. As Young Money Clan, they can't find a way to traject that ball to the goal. I'm surprised. That seemed like a very advantageous effort. But again, on these counterattacks, they haven't been able to fill a shot towards the goal. Oh my goodness, Nugget not able to get a touch on the ball. I think Fusion was close enough to confuse the attack. YMC, they just can't get a better angle on the ball.
It's also doing a lot with from which angle they approach the ball. Oftentimes it is from sort of a lateral angle rather than from straight behind it, so you can't generate that much power, and you might be caught off guard as YMC is right here trying to get the go-ahead goal, but that touch from Rio, that wasn't it.
I mean, that series of touches feels like exactly what the theme of this match is, which is it's all based on the execution of Young Money Clan. They have their opportunities. They've got their passing plays, and they've had plenty of shot chances as they have throughout this series. unless they execute, unless they find their shot. Drift Queens are going to make the most of the little chances they get. And that's all they need, a 1-0 lead at the halfway mark.
1-0 lead, but can they hold on to it? The offensive juggernaut is certainly trying to be fired up once more. Riho taking control from his own backside, taking to the skies as well. None from Drift Queens are really biting on that. They're just letting him pass. Maybe a good decision, as Riho wasn't even really able to do anything. He expected the 50-50 to come. 50-50 did not appear, but maybe the shot will come through. Crypto on the line together with Lady Bear. Get them out.
Ocean again and again has to turn into these shots. YMC, if they're quicker on these follow-ups, even if they're just cutting rotation, they'd have that follow-up opportunity as Drift Queens are double committing on the very first shot of the possession. But they're not in position to take advantage of those moments. They may be on this attempt, though. As Fusion takes this to the ground, still 20 boosts to make their midfield pass come to fruition. It does get to Lazy Bear, but Riho, no big issues, making for that save. Fusion has to play this smartly in the first engagement, gets that quick challenge to go. Riho, the pass denied from the corners. Lazy Bear does a great job of staying behind that ball. Now Crypto, flip reset, stays to the ground, gets a 50-50. Lazy Bear playing for the next dunk, but it's back out to Fusion at the mid.
Back out to Fusion, he's got time, he's got the reset, but the shot lacks a bit of power motion. Darting across the face of net, gets it out from under. And only a minute though remaining for YMCS. Drift Queens able to get out of the noose that YMC was slinging around their neck. Touches in midfield, only going laterally, only going into the waiting hands of the Drift Queen defense.
From the ceiling, Lazy Bear. Oh, a flip. A dunk, almost a shot on target. Crypto's gonna have that follow. It's touch from the backboard motion. A great read on the back wall. Necessary for the Drift Queens to stay at just a 1-goal lead. Crypto bumped off the play. Motion says, I've got other ideas in mind, buddy. We need a chance. We need it now, but it's not going to happen. Off the backflip there. Nugget with no boost to play this ball. Trying to find motion, but they're just not cohesive enough. Final effort in the 15 seconds available for YMC. Pass out to Nugget. Riho there to complete the effort and gets it with 10 seconds remaining.
Ingenuity on YMC. Motion across Nugget. Hopes Riho doesn't get demoed. And Riho will supply the equalizer with 10 seconds left on the clock. They finally get what they believe they deserve. But still, their glass cannon status remains on offense. They're really good, but when they're forced on defense, it's problematic. Can they be more on offense? No, this time around after the kickoff. Ball's still alive. Riho taking it up, now down. Everyone read Nugget to put it down, and Nugget actually completes the comeback in regulation.
Oh, Drift Queens, you did your job for 4 minutes and 50 seconds, but those last 10 were in shambles. We don't get our first overtime. We get our first team on match point with the YMC victory.
YMC. Never count them out when they have to push on offense. Once more, they supply some wizardry in the opponent's half. And by God, Drift Queens, you did so well. But a game of Rocket League is 5 minutes and not 450.
Yeah, that's rough. Players to call out here, Riho. MVP title, almost at 500 points, but I want to talk about their individual play and very much their forward-thinking approach here, Mocked. Not only was it that final play with the pass combination, in turn with the goalie bump that he went for, but it's also the 50-50s and the dunks that Riho have had. I'm just very impressed with his ability to have the fortune teller aspect of the game and really traject the ball into a better place for YMC to maybe get those late game chances. But Mock, we get word that Drift Queens are going to take their timeout. Funny enough, after they took their timeout in the quarterfinals, they won the next 2 games, or the next game or so, to win the series. So they're hoping for it to be just as effective.
They're hoping for it to be effective. They're just trying to break that sort of momentum that no doubt YMC would have here, right? It's the objectively correct decision to take the timeout here. You've just conceded 2 within 10. You've lost the game on 0 seconds because Riho basically 1v3'd you. if at any point you'd ever need the mental reset, if at any point you ever just want to sit in silence for a minute, go inside of yourself. Just take a deep breath. Now's the time.
Yeah, no, I was watching some VCT yesterday, and when they take their timeouts, there's plenty of players that just kick back in their seat and just go into their Zen mode. They try and relax the nerves. There's no comms needed. Yeah, exactly. They're just kicking back. They're getting ready for the next game. So the mental reset, definitely a priority here.
Yeah, and I mean, the mental reset needs to be a priority if you think about it. But speaking apart from that obvious mental reset that they need, YMC just refused to budge there. They had so much offensive pressure, but they were kept to about 8 shots until they scored the equalizer by Drift Queens. So Drift Queens basically did everything that was asked of them, but still then failed. How do you recover from that? And if so, how do you recover from that sort of neck breaker?
Deny Riho. I don't know. Obviously, he's got a plan, and it's all coming to formation, even if it is those final seconds of the game. So it's about denying him at every end as much as you can and making certain that your chances come available for Drift Queens. We are here. We are 20 seconds into game number 5 in Drift Queens. Well, they've got to win the next 3 if they want that grand final spit.
3 in a row. The gentleman's reverse sweep necessary from the Drift Queens. Do they have it in them? Crypto looking for Fusion, already wants to get the go-ahead goal. As the miss comes up from Riho, they might even get away with it, but no. The post will deny the Portuguese-English combo right here, right now.
Okay, now I don't know Riho's plan. Was the plan to fake that clear? To fake the save? I don't know. Who knows? Well, here's the one thing that we do know. It worked, okay? And that's been the MO from YMC. Maybe you're not hitting every chance, but hey, the pressure and the possession and the shots, they've been working out for you. Riho on that deep offensive rotation, able to get a touch in the midfield, but it immediately counteracts them. Big save on the goal line. Motion with already a third at the start of this game and may need to make another. Crypto in the skies, and this is always dangerous, but Lazy Bear a bit too far forward when the follow-up needs to come. Crypto still ready to cherry pick. Does not get the redirect after stealing boost, so he's going to go steal more. Fusion on the 50 and Lazy Bear. That midfield boost will empower him to take another shot. Crypto at the midfield, ready to guard that line as Drift Queens trying to get their foot in the door.
Drift Queens, they have their foot truly now in the door. Boost control has been established as well, but no, there's the breakout from YMC. And that's just when they needed just enough time to refill on boost now, but will it be enough? No, it won't. Lazy Bear, 1-0.
Well, there it is. I mean, it took long enough. Come on, Drift Queens. They had possession, they had the shots, they have had something we haven't seen all series long, which is just denying YMC at every end when they try to regain control of the game. Something else that was tremendous out of the Drift Queens was the boost management and the boost steals. But hey, why don't Young Money Clan steal the lead, steal your life on the goal line?
Look at the awareness from Motion. Just, he's rotating out. You always look for those sort of exit demos coming out, but now he knew his team was in there. They were delaying it. Motion got contact. He got the opponent. He did everything he needed to do, cleared the way. Riho, in the end, the goal scorer, but it was truly a team effort. This one as the fake comes through. Motion just a little bit too far back.
Though with boost on the backboard. Able to find his teammate to pop that high. Another touch off the backboard. And I'll tell you what, Young Money Clan's defense battle tested in this game thus far. With these passing combinations, midfield attempt there. Fusion close on the double tap. And Crypto nearly there on the shot. Drift Queens cooking up something different in this game 5.
Drift Queens cooking up. They're trying to be a lot more aggressive. They're trying to be a lot more in their faces because they've seen earlier that this is a strategy that works. If you put YMC under pressure, cracks are very quickly beginning to show. That's exactly what Drift Queens are trying to put in here. But alas, they are not as effective as they need to be. Nugget putting a second one in the center, but Lazy Bear easily deals with that one.
Oh, no, Young Money Clan, they needed something better than that. Drift Queens are nearly handing the ball to them on a silver platter with these weak clears, and they're just throwing it right back at them. They've got the rotation, they've got the positioning, they just do not have the execution right now. If Drift Queens execute on this effort, they'll be better off for it, but no, instead two go to the shot. Crypto trying to salvage whatever he can out of the play, and he's taken enough time. Lazy Bear, a second touch there. Nugget tested from the backboard. Riho back out to Nugget. We go back to the side of YMC to get their lead and potential win of the series.
1 minute, and we're all tied here, so YMC really has potentially only one more goal to score if they want to secure themselves a spot in the grand final. They have to be a bit more careful on boost control. Oftentimes, 2 or more players on low boost for YMC, leaving a lot of work on one man to get a good 50-50. As Rio was able to do here, gets it to Motion across. Motion into the skies, flip reset denied by Crypto, but there's the shot from behind Nugget. Saved away, Fusion doing well, but I feel like there's a last push from YMC, it's coming.
Yeah, we saw what they did in the final 10 seconds. They've got 30 now if they want to win this and deny the first overtime of this series like they did at 0 seconds the last time. Fusion's got a touch here, Nugget finds it instead. The corner touches. They are instrumental to keep this possession alive here, but on 0 boost, Nugget escapes the play. Riho trying to look for that bump. Oh, he doesn't need it because the lane's already clear. The avenue open for success of YMC.
Open for success because Rio does that little turn towards Crypto. He forces Crypto to move back, opening up the pinch from Nugget. And once more, with 10 seconds left on the clock, YMC find a crucial and important goal. Might it even be the grand final goal? No, Crypto, equalizer.
Motion, that was a sneaky ground pinch, but Crypto's got something up his sleeve as well. A quick air dribble from the kickoff ties things up.
All tied, 4 seconds, one more volatile kickoff to go before he gets sent into overtime. Where does it go? Where does it end? In Lazy Bear's arms, he goes to the skies, past one. Can he get it past Riho? No, puts it to the ground. Pyro, first time today, we've got overtime.
Tell you what, if they play this overtime like these players have been playing the last 10 seconds of regulation, we'll have a great one. We might have a quick one as well. Shot fired by Fusion, denied by Riho. Nugget doesn't get the better of it. Lazy Bear pass across the face of the net, but follow up a little slower from Drift Queens. They actually want to continue its possession instead. Pass off the backboard once again. Shot there. Nugget save. Everybody forced to get that Savior's medal on the side of YMC, but Lazy Bear, again, the idea to pass off the backboard. Nugget saves this time around. Goal line pressure. Well handled by YMC, but how long can they manage? Long enough to give Nugget a try on the other end.
Nugget leaves it to Motion. Cheeky little double tap. Infield Lazy Bear. That's a whiff and a half from the Portuguese, but it will not be punished. And now I think we can finally get this overtime settled into smoother, into calmer waters. It's Crypto being pressured. Rio on the backboard once more, but there's Lazy Bear. But the good thing for YMC to note that even though they have been awkward in defense, even though the pressure has been there, they're not as much of a glass cannon here at the start of this overtime. They even get a shot off here, Nugget. Saved by Fusion.
Fusion panicking there as if he's the last line of defense. There is no more defense. It's over. The placement to the opposite post from Motion. He had the ground pinch that thought would win it, but this time it comes off Fusion. Crypto. Not enough.
Not enough, and so close. He could get that pinch, and that pinch could land literally anywhere, Pyro. I feel like this pinch, immaculate, could have been immaculate, but it wasn't. So let's bring back Graveyard and Ryan. I hope you had as much fun watching this one as we did.
It was incredibly entertaining, and I can't tell you how disappointed I am that it didn't go to the next game. It felt like it needed that. It was just the temperature of it was amazing. But what blows my mind is how quickly things turn. I mean, when Rio scored with 10 seconds to go on the clock, which he did in the previous game, I put in my headphones. I'm like, okay, get ready, we're about to, and then it goes to over. It was so good. But one of the criticisms, it wasn't a criticism, it was a question about Young Money Clan, was bringing in Nugget, because he is a ones main, is from what I've heard, and everyone was like, the guy's, he doesn't really play threes, he might not be good at threes, but he seems to be coming into his own, Pyro. He was very involved, especially early on with the passing plays. It seems like he's getting into the groove with the threes meta.
I mean, think about what 1v1 does, right? It's the best strategy to beat the opponent in front of you. So what better way to create those follow-ups and those opportunities for your teammates than to win those 50-50s, those challenges, make those creative endeavors to get the ball across the face of the goal for your team. Nugget was instrumental, though. If we were just to talk about his passing plays, we would only be talking about game number 1. In games 2 and 3, he had 4 straight goals for Young Money Clan and continued to show that prowess across the series. Definitely, I would say potential MVP coming out of YMC if you consider the whole series. Late in the series, Riho was everywhere, but yeah, YMC as a whole, great effort.
And a similarity that struck me in this series, and also the series with 77 blocks, was YMC allow themselves to be challenged, but I start to get the feeling they're almost like a little bit of there's a bit of a donkey and stick sort of mentality, because they do enough to give the opposition hope that the opposition are always in it, that they can, that they're in, and if they just work a little harder, they figure it out, they can get there. But then they kind of just keep yanking the carrot away, and it's just they're just never close enough. And given the whole series, Machfish, it felt a little bit like that Drift Queens had hope. They were there and thereabouts, but just never close enough to get the carrot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like almost YMC being like, oh, you can beat us or you can score goals against us, but at any point we're just more than able and more than capable of putting it back and pulling everything back to our side. So YMC, I'm still not convinced entirely by them on defense. I think they're still a bit too much of a glass cannon in that regard. But if they can simply outscore their opponents, that's worth it. The question is, can they do it against either Limitless or Mongolia?
Well, we're going to have the answer to that question in the not too distant future. Driver of the Day vote is open. If you go to acgl.gg/vote, you can vote for your driver of the day. Who's the impact player? The player having the most impact on their series and the course of this tournament. Go there and vote. It's open now. It can be from this series, the next semi-final, or of course from the grand final. We will announce that at the end of the day. But one semi-final out the way, Young Money Clan, the first team to secure their place in the grand finals for the second consecutive qualifier. And now we wait to see who they will face up against, either Mongolia or Limitless. We will start to get some answers after this very short break. And then we got the limitless decal. All right, so Alt, you can give us your. We were talking about that series, and you and I have often said, big events swing on small hinges, and one in particular you highlighted, and you might as well regale with us one more because it was a massive turning point in that series.
Those last 10 seconds, I put it into Twitch chat at that stage, and the last 10 seconds and Young Money Crew, name a better duo right now, because that was actually breathtaking to watch that. I mean, the moments when it was leveled up and then Riho, as the buzzer goes, he takes it up into the air, and I watched two of the players from Drift Queens dive past him. I went, no, it can't actually go like this, right? But I mean, that's what it means to be an SSA. The tales are never set in stone. Things change on a dime. I mean, that moment really just solidified what the series was. But as a whole, I gotta say, that series, even though at the end of it, the scoreline doesn't show it, that was way closer than anyone was expecting.
A banger of a series, and it really would have been amazing, because if it had gone to 4, I have a feeling it would have gone to 5. You know what I mean? If it had gone to 5, it would have gone to 6. It just felt like it had that build up. But those dying moments in the scoring, we saw it in the Bonjour game yesterday. Bonjour had come back from 2 games down, won 3 on the trot. They were a goal ahead with 35 seconds to go. We were literally counting down to their series victory. They conceded, and then it all fell apart from there. And then the same thing happened here. Drift Queens, a goal up, 10 seconds to go. It would have been 2-2. The entire complexion changes, Pyro, and then Rio gets in that 10-second goal, and then what Ultrazim just highlighted there, the 0-second goal to kind of finish them off.
The theme of that series was YMC will win if they execute when they need to. They had control, I want to say 80% of that series, of just the midfield pressure, of possession. Yes, Drift Queens, they're very effective when they get chances on the attack. It's just until the last game, they really didn't dominate in that effort. So YMC, yeah, they waited till the last few seconds in the last couple of games. But aside from that, it was a pretty dominant performance from them to establish that number 2 spot yet again, number 2 at least.
All right, well, there you see it. In the grand finals are YMC, waiting for their opponents, which will be one of Limitless or Shmongolia. And now this is a matchup that is not unfamiliar for us, Ultrazim. These players, these teams, and Limitless have had quite a breezy run up till here, dropping just the 1 game. But the team that does trouble them is Shmongolia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sad to see these two coming up not in the grand finals, because we know how good this is going to be. Shmongolia obviously coming in as the underdogs, but not by as big of a margin as everyone, I think, thinks. They can make the saves on their side. They're getting on a really good shot tally for each of this. They are the less experienced team, though. Each individual player is got less individual experience than anyone from Limitless. And then as a squad, they've just formed together, whereas this Limitless side, since their formation last year, has looked stellar and really pretty much untouchable in the region. So I'm very interested to see how close Shmongolia can get right now. But their performance yesterday, 4-0 sweeping Straskibity, was a real signal to everyone in the region and across the world that these guys in the future and in the present are someone to be worried about.
Yeah, and I'm loving the makeup of the Shmongolia team. Werty, who's an OG, been around, and sort of bringing up these 2 young players. Guns, who's just fantastic. A lot has been said about him. And then Snoozy, hopefully coming into his home, into his own, and being shepherded by the wise and experienced Werty, who along with Sweaty last season, they came out of nowhere in the last split to make it to Worlds. So absolutely a team worthy worthy as an opponent for Limitless. But and there we see Sweaty up against Guns, and 2 finer players. That's actually a great comparison there, Pyro.
Oh, yeah, it is. I mean, especially when you look at Shmongolia, right? You're talking about driver of the day from yesterday. From Guns, he was extremely effective on the attack, and that's one of my ways to beat Limitless today for Shmongolia, to take the series, is You need a way to create that space. If we look at series yesterday against Shaskibity, Mongolia did a great job of creating that space, allowing guns to flex in the air. Limitless don't provide that space. They are suffocating in their effort of quick challenges and tend to dominate the skies. So Mongolia needs some way to create that space, as well as against any team that's playing against Limitless is make sure they don't score like at least 4 goals. The defense has to shape up in a big way for Mongolia as well.
Well, but this is one thing that I think Mongolia has that a lot of the other teams that Limitless has shown such prevalence over is Mongolia has a different way of shooting. You know, they're able to take it so high into the air, and there's very few people in the region that can pull off a good musty like someone like Guns can. And so it's going to be interesting to see how well these new innovative styles of approach to attack can take on and match up against this Limitless squad. You know, I think they'll be caught out once or twice. I don't know if it's going to be enough to carry the season for Mongolia, but it's certainly a really cool fighting point and something that Limitless might have to adapt to.
Now, Ultrazum, I want to stay with you because there's an interesting dynamic within the SSA community. You know, you talk about Mongolia being an underdog in this matchup, and just how much there has never been an RLCS grand final without well, it was Orlando Pirates and then now Limitless with Snowy and his team. We have not seen Snowy and his team in the grand final. I mean, that's a huge. They haven't won all of them. They've won the vast majority. So they are out far and away the team of the region. But when you look at the chat vote, Mongolia get 54% of the vote. And there's such a weird dynamic in the SSA community because they want a new team to rise to the top. So there's almost like we want someone new, but they truly are the final boss of the region.
Okay, listen, that's exactly what it is. I don't think anyone, the 54% of you guys, we got over 550 people busy watching Twitch right now, and you're telling me 250 of them, 275? I think that you've kind of hit the nail on the head, and Snowy said it a couple of times. They're the team that's constantly got the mark on their back, right? Everyone's targeting for them, and I think that's where a lot of these votes are coming out for. I think it would be great to see a team really challenge them and really push them, so I want to see this go all the way to a Game 7. I want to see Mongolia really make themselves and everyone proud of their performance right now. But Limitless is used to this pressure. It doesn't matter what the chat vote says. It doesn't matter what the whole of Twitter says. Snowy's just going to shrug it off in an interview, say we did what we need to. I mean, there's not the emotional game behind it that I think a lot of people give it to. Limitless is a cold, clinical team that comes out and does what they need to do. And I think that that's going to be their attitude going into today.
Well, while we were talking, the vote did turn around. It's now at 72% for Limitless. So there you go. So Pyro, the chat vote has said what they said. What does Pyro say?
Listen, Limitless would be untouchable if it's not for Mongolia. It took a game off them in the best of 5 and 2 games off them in the semifinals last qualifier. But Limitless, the cards are stacked against them in a very unique way this season. I don't think with all the pressure on them, they break now. To me, they're in the grand finals as qualifier. I'm taking Limitless in this match.
Ultrazum.
Yeah, I'm going to have to force you into splitting the panel there, Greybeard. I'm going Limitless all the way. They've got the history. They've got the personal talent. They're looking as strong as they ever have. Give me Limitless.
Yeah, it's tough, and I don't believe I can be splitting the panel. Ultrazum, how many times have we said that there comes a time where you predict against Limitless, but it's not today. Limitless will take it, but I would like to see it go to Game 7. Mongolia do better than they did in the last qualifier and take it to 7. So Limitless take it, but in Game 7, a 4-3. This battle to go to the grand final and meet up with Young Money Clan. And an important, not just for this victory, but it's also looking ahead at the major, because if Limitless prevail, and whichever of the two teams prevail, it makes the battle for Copenhagen tight. If Limitless can take it, they will be well on their way to Copenhagen. But there's some road to be traveled before Copenhagen, and that road is right here, right now. Our second semi-final, Limitless and Mongolia. Over to our casters, Mothfish and Ultrazum.
The road to Copenhagen is a long and treacherous one. Limitless, though, the favorite to make it to Denmark. Can they dispatch, though, on their way, their regional and international competition? Altruism, you've said it there on the panel. Betting against Limitless would be interesting, to say the least.
Storyline. You want YMC to take this regional just so that the third one becomes that little bit sweeter. Do you think that they are going to have to face Limitless? Because, I mean, that would make it even better, right? The two of them absolutely locked for that rematch in the finals.
I mean, I love myself a bit of an underdog story, Old. I'm not gonna lie. And out of the SSA pro player scene, I really like Verti. I don't know why exactly, but I just really like him. I like his approach to the game. I like how serious he is. I like the way he's mostly putting the team first at every team he's been playing for since RLCS got to SSA. So I'm gonna go with the upset pick here, but it's a bit of rose-tinted glass for me.
Oh, you're going for the underdog there, just to give some credit, and credit should be due. This Mongolia side doesn't ever deserve to have a panel fully against them, but they're going to have to take an early deficit right now, even with Snowy cheekily trying to snatch this away at the end there. Sweaty spots out the mark, and Snowy, having cleared the way for him, tries to claim. Instead, the double dueling dragons in black going to have to presence our field for the first time. It is 1-0 to Limitless.
Yeah, but it's a great demo there from Snowy. Again, the game awareness. It is why Limitless is such a good team. They've got all the components. They've got mechanics. They've got awareness. They're a well-working unit who's also not afraid to innovate and take the young guns up to the highest level. Sweaty really only made his mark in the spring split of last season, and now he's already on the top team. That, by the way, in the spring split, that was with Verti.
An amazing bit of storylines that's starting to thread its way through the SSA scene. I mean, most of these players have played with each other, if not, then certainly against each other enough times. But the number of teammates looking at each other from different sides of the field. Whoa. The shot, though, Werty, the man that we were just speaking about, finds a bit of opening. I don't know why no one was out here challenging. Sweaty getting harassed and assaulted on the goal line means he can't even get up for an attempt there. And a clear spot, well taken, one apiece.
One apiece, and Guns is saying, well, anything that you can do, Snowy, I can do too, and I can do it quite as effective as you can. But there comes the veteran of SSA, Snowy, to take back the lead.
Man, even if you manage to pull things back against Limitless, they're not a team that likes to get settled for too long. Instantly back into the challenge, getting physical, baiting a couple of people into the corner, and the pass across. Soft, but well-placed and well-timed for a follow-up. Sweaty now, gonna have an open goal. Another ball squeaks through perpendicular to the center and finished off succinctly.
Two kickoff goals in quick succession. Unfortunate, of course, for Mongolia, but Limitless are not gonna give a care in the world to this one. They just get a good 50-50. The follow-up is there. The immediate rotation after kickoff, just a little bit cleaner, just a little bit tighter to allow Sweaty to take that third goal for Limitless, and it nearly was a fourth. Demos coming around as well. Snowy in front of goal, but no one there to follow it in.
Man, we've talked a lot about the defensive prowess of the teams and how it's been forced out by incomparable pressure. And I think that's the case right now. Limitless, a team that loves to pepper the back line as much as possible. And eventually that starts to whittle away at any team. They manage to come out the better if they are unchecked and uncleared. Right now, though, a bit of a progress down the other side. Sweaty having to challenge Werty out. Guns is up for the shot, but Snowy does well to squeeze it out towards the side to die for. Chasing it, senses a bit of weakness there. With that pop through the center, Snowy going to get an open goal presented to himself, this time on a platter by To Die For.
Third goal with immediate physical contact right before it, To Die For. Well, that demo really did create his username, didn't it? With it opening the way, Snowy saying thank you very much, and a 4-1 lead to Limitless in a game that honestly doesn't necessarily deserve a 4-1 goal. Like, Limitless have just been so incredibly efficient in offense.
I think that's the big thing, you know, compared to a lot of the other teams that we've seen today and yesterday, the efficiency, that goal conversion percentage that Limitless is running with right now. When they go forward, the first couple are just testers, as is that one. Snowy put on the line under a bit of pressure. But Limitless, when they come forward, they're kind of chipping away until they sense that opportunity. And when it presents, they make absolutely no mistake.
They are sort of the opposite of YMC, I feel like, in that fashion, where YMC just takes shot after shot, taking pressure opportunity after pressure opportunity. Limitless is sort of more building towards something in whenever they go to attack. They are a bit more deliberate in when they want to pounce. Yes, there are a lot of shots, but most of them are just exactly placed off target just to get a defender to commit.
Now coming forward with that confidence, go for some more physical plays, getting into the face of their opponent to dive for with some space off the wall, gets the pass across, and Sweaty, like I said, makes absolutely no mistake. It was just harassment in that corner until to dive for, utilizing the best little angle to get it to the center. Sweaty diving past the waiting defender and finds a beautiful angle. 5-1.
5-1 in game one. Definitely a statement of intent here coming out of Limitless, saying, no. We're still the top dogs. Don't you worry, SSA. We still got your back. Limitless having to do, well, not a lot of heavy lifting here in this first game to get it past Mongolia, but definitely they have to still work hard for their chances. A lot of the goals have been with the help of bump plays, have been with the help of demo plays. And yes, while they are connecting now, all that doesn't necessarily mean they will be connecting in the future.
Well, you know, you mentioned the statement of intent. That is a big dynamic, I think, coming into this, if Limitless do progress at this sort of rate throughout the semi-finals. Young Money Crew was certainly tested on a lot of opportunities, and they were swept completely by Limitless in our last regional qualifier. Limitless looking to do the same thing again. Snowy to beat the buzzer and the defender all in one there. Makes it a 6-1. And they are looking to say, SSA, you have no reason to worry. Like you said, we are here to carry us all to greatness.
6 goals, half a dozen put behind a Mongolia that during Swiss and even in the last regional looked very, very strong and looked like, at least from SSA, Limitless's best, well, or closest rival. But right here, that was a dispatch unlike anything I've seen. That was really a putting the child back into its place.
Wow, that is a savage way to put it, but it certainly does reflect like this at the end of the day. I mean, the shot tally alone kind of tells the story. 15 shots here for Limitless, barely breaking 3 there from Mongolia. They didn't get enough space to get a real approach going. They didn't get any sort of pressure forced onto the Limitless backline, and while you might squeak 1 or 2 here towards the center to try and threaten the defense, they were able to control the tempo of the game the whole way through. I think Mongolia are going to have to take control of that first before they want to take control of the series in any meaningful way.
And the one stat that really shot out to me was the demolitions. Limitless 6 demos to 2 in favor of them, and the timing of when Limitless took those demos. Oftentimes, it was, yes, to create a goal-scoring opportunity, but also it was to just get rid of third man, to get rid of a follow-up from Mongolia, make them think, make them sweat that the player behind the ball has to get a great 50-50 because the follow-up will be lacking otherwise. That is what Limitless is doing so well, and that's sort of the one thing that I think Mongolia needs to take from this game one and apply to their own strategy.
Yeah, you know, demos were kind of weirdly used in SSA for the longest period of time. I remember the good old Papa Capes, if he's watching, shout out to him. But he kind of revolutionized demos, but it was more in an absolute physical sense. He would go for them in most plays. They wouldn't always be the most necessarily well-timed. All the other teams kind of just lacking on that aspect of the game, whereas Limitless has very recently brought that into their fold and now has that arsenal to bring it out along with the mechanics, along with the team plays and the passing. That is something that I think is fantastic, and EU is certainly showing across the board how powerful and potent those sort of plays can be.
And that potency really being imported with a lot of the players into SSA, and Limitless be like, yep, okay, we'll take that. That's a good aspect of the game that we potentially didn't think about or haven't valued as highly before. As Sweaty gets another demolition on Snoozy on the goal line to remove a third defender. Flip reset past the second. Where's the follow-up? There's Snowy to dive for dives in as well. Werty finds a very solid 50-50 though to get it to safety.
Man, I love that. Sweaty, even after he's done all the work to get the pass across, he doesn't check out and start rotating back. He even goes for the aerial bump just to make life a little bit harder. Guns there doing a great job off the backboard, coming the wrong way towards it. Has to get a touch on that to deny any further shots. Does well there. It seems like Mongolia proficient on the defense. I still want to see them going forwards. Unfortunately for them, every time they try, they seem to be missing someone, and instead a puff of smoke left in the wake.
Puff of smoke left in their wake, and especially Sweaty has been so aggressive, and not only in the opening game, but in this game in particular, going for a lot of demos, going for a lot of bumps on the goal line, just trying to be a nuisance to that Mongolia defense. And, well, since one half has been now played, the ball is now pretty much for the first time meaningfully has left the orange half of the pitch.
Yeah, 100%. You could see Limitless is just clamped down on that back line. Even here, going forward for the first real time for this Mongolia side, they don't have much possession. They don't control the ball for a long time. So Dive 4 just waits and leaves it up to Sweaty. Snowy waiting there. Big clear comes through from Mongolia, but it's straight away into the hands of Dive 4. They're looking to try and create something. Pass towards the center, doesn't find anyone even attempting for that. And instead, Limitless just now being pushed back, but certainly not challenged.
They are pushed back, but there's still that air, you say, of uncertainty around Mongolia. They don't know how many people they can really afford to commit, knowing that Limitless is that aggressive with their demolition play, is that aggressive when it comes to rotating out and maybe even finding the one weak spot. Snoozy gets bumped away to the side. Out of my way, you peasant.
Absolutely savage to die for. He did it previously, and Snoozy thought he had all the time in the world. He was getting himself a nice line to tuck in behind that, then suddenly removed from any semblance of touching that ball. The ball trickles in. The team of Limitless continue to find new and different ways to abuse their opponents.
At this point, does it classify as abuse? Can we still show it on Twitch? Is it still E for everyone? Because I've got a feeling that with the amount of bumps and demos going on, Limitless are just harassing, physically harassing and assaulting a Mongolia side that is a little bit too innocent to take the punches and roll with the punches right now.
So a nice push forward coming out of Mongolia. Guns gets it across the goals. It's a beautiful center, but there's no one there. A little bit too much juice in that to be able to settle it down where it needs to. Guns, however, continues to challenge the skies. They've given away possession for now, even getting involved with Snoozy. I don't know if it's because of the demos that they just can't trust that their teammates still going to be present to be able to take any sort of clears. The rest of the team, maybe it's the mentality of being hammered this hard by such an intimidating opponent. Guns, though, going to return a blow, and Snowy with an amazing attempt there. Denied out by Werty. Snoozy with the second one. Guns with a bit of a breakaway. In the last minute, can there be a little bit more drama to add to the scene?
It's only one goal lead for Limitless. Is still not the most solid foundation. They have had shots, 7 of them, in fact, only one finding the back of the net, and to credit where credit is due, Mongolia defense is doing incredibly well with dealing, or getting at least a lot better at dealing with those demos, at dealing with the harassment that they receive at the hands of Limitless. But right now in offense, they're just lacking. They don't really find any meaningful touches in that final third to put the defense of Limitless under pressure. Guns, maybe here, 69 boosts remaining, takes it low, 50-50 with To Die For, but To Die For just brilliantly in that effort.
Man, Limitless is so quick on that second man follow-up, whether it's off their player or not. And here they go. It's a dive for in front of the net. Snowy going to put it just a little wide. I believe that was Snowy anyway. At the end of the day, 1 goal is all Limitless is going to have to settle for. But more importantly, they pick up their second game.
1 goal is all that it takes. Mongolia 2-0 down in the series, and after a game where I think they coped better on defense overall, they still looked outclassed here, and that is why I think they take the timeout here.
Yeah, timeout is a good option. We talked about it yesterday. 2 games is enough. a path back into the series when you want to take it. And you got to figure this out, because this was a better showing from Mongolia. Got to be said. Certainly restricting Limitless to far fewer shots there, only managing 9. Only 9 is a terrifying thing to say. But getting 6 shots on yourself there, they suffered pretty much the same amount of demos. So that might be a key talking point now in this timeout. How do we avoid this? Or at least how do we make sure that the second person gets up into a position that if our first guy gets demoed, it's not an easy trickle ball through there. You know, having that little bit of a backup on their teammate. I don't think it's about trusting your teammate as much as it is just being aware of where the threat lies.
Yeah, I feel like that's sort of a similar issue that Drift Queens in our first semi-final of the day faced against Young Money Clan, where YMC was so aggressive and Drift Queens didn't quite know how to handle it. This is quite a carbon copy of a Limitless. Really, really aggressive. Mongolia wasn't prepared for it. Obviously, they had a game plan, but I think that game plan about like 2 minutes into game 1 got thrown out the window because Limitless was just unpredictably very, very aggressive. And now they have to sort of, in this minute, have to find an entirely new game plan. And here's the issue that I have for that for Mongolia. It's just the 3 players, right? They're just those 3. They don't have a coach behind them. They don't have anyone that watches this game with them. They don't have anyone they can get an outside opinion of. And that's, I believe, where a value of a coach would shine really through for Mongolia.
Maybe they're tuning into the stream in the background and they're listening to us. So if
don't do that.
They're getting back into the game now. We can talk safely again. But I must admit, Mongolia, I feel it's that difference in aggression coming out between the two teams that you hit the nail on the head there with. Because Worty, Guns, Snoozy, whenever one of them makes a really good play and the ball pops out towards the center, or, you know, it comes over 50, one of these Limitless players is just onto it at lightning pace. And I mean, something like that needs to be accounted for. Either you need to be getting to the ball a little bit faster, in which case you're worried about, Limitless nearly managing to draw a quick early first blood in game number 3. Either that, or you need to start playing around the fact that they're going to get to the ball faster and either start rotating back or go for a late 50 into the challenge so that off their touch, you can start doing something. And Limitless starting to play around a little bit here, throwing huge numbers of bodies at any of these challenges.
Yep, but they also, I feel like they are throwing those numbers of bodies at it because they know they are allowed to, because at the moment Mongolia simply isn't playing as tight as they need to be, isn't playing as quickly and as adaptively as they need to be to beat this Limitless side. They know they've got a speed advantage and they're using that speed advantage to their fullest effect. So as to what you were saying earlier about, you know, either go for it or go take an aggressive cut or go all the way back, I think really Mongolia needs to just be there, be ready to jump at every single opportunity. If a ball is only semi-loose, you need someone to commit to it.
Yeah, 100%. Worst case scenario is you give space to Limitless to start causing havoc like they are right now. You can see the touches are being so good. They'll pop towards the corner. And Snoozy, being the third man, has to make a good clear there. If anyone from Limitless, one of their second man, wants to charge forward, they're going to be on you so fast and they're going to put in a decent jump that eventually something's going to overlap to your detriment. Now Snoozy goes up for this. No one going to follow him into the air. Worty just sitting on the midway, but to die for, spotting this out, decides to go forward, even looking for the demo. And he finds it, clears the way once more. And this is what I'm talking about. You give space to the players. They're going to read this game with premonition and just cause havoc.
Causing havoc is exactly what To Die For does. Another great demo on the goal line to get the ball and to chaperone it really into the net. Mongolia look a shadow of their former selves from Regional 1, and especially now looking with 2 young guns playing with Snoozy and Guns on the field. How important is it that Worty keeps a good mental? How important is it that Worty can somehow get Mongolia out of that hole?
Yeah, I think it really does come down to Worty being the senior member of the side. He's got to talk to his team and just be very cognizant about what their mentality is doing right now. But still, we're seeing some good jumps coming out from the Mongolia side. They're challenging nice and aggressively, pushing themselves a little bit too far forward now, but covered well by Worty as he rotates back. Snoozy with a bit of a breakaway. Someone got to be up to this faster than Sweaty's given credit for.
Someone just needs to be a little bit quicker. Worty there, finally a clean beat on a Limitless challenge. But still, they just give the ball away too easily. It's almost like Mongolia are expecting Limitless to rush every single ball. And that's where the breakdown really happens. That's where they get caught because they give the ball away in midfield, and then Limitless is more than capable of producing a chance apropos of nowhere.
I mean, Guns looking for the soft touch there, but once more escorted out of the play by one of the Limitless players. And eventually, Sweaty, like you say, a ball like that lying in midfield is just a shooting practice opportunity to die for now. Looking to carry on adding insult to injury, with them already being 2 goals up. The kickoff doesn't go their way. Now turns back. Guns with a bit of space, takes a boomer of a shot, but it's high. That's something, that sort of shooting accuracy that we've gotten to see from our 2 European teams and Limitless to join their ranks. It's one that we have got to see a little bit more cleanly if you're going to challenge the top team in the region.
Well, if you want to be a top team, you have to take every opportunity, and every opportunity is currently being taken by Limitless, unfortunately not by Mongolia. Definitely a reason for this thus far so one-sided affair, but we know, of course, from Regional 1 that Limitless, they can be beat by Mongolia. They can be put to the test by Mongolia. It's just that today, with how impressively aggressive and how well Limitless are playing, Mongolia look as completely and utterly beaten.
What Snowy actually off camera here does another cheeky thing. There's a reason why Snoozy came in very late to that play. It was on for just a fraction of a second, but another physical check means the defender not in place to make the save. And this is the thing, you can't react. If you're Mongolia, you cannot try and constantly react to what Limitless is doing. You have to get more proactive. You have to start shutting these things down at midfield or better and start putting in pressure. That's a beautiful passing play. Nice movement coming out from Mongolia to try a challenge like that. But it's just unfortunately a little bit too little too late with a minute left on the clock and 3 goals down.
Too little too late, but I still think they deserved to at least get that one because it was well played out. It was well executed by Mongolia, all 3 members involved. But then the shot just a little bit lacking. Tried to play it a bit smartly behind to die for a player with his expertise and his knowledge of the game. Just, yeah, he's got to be ready for any shot that's being placed behind him. Werty trying from the air, but still no goal scored by Mongolia in game 2, and thus far no goal scored by Mongolia in game 3 either.
That's a big part of the mentality, especially when you've just come out of that time. You've talked about everything that's needed, and you're still not executing anything well enough to be able to challenge this team. Getting close, it has to be said, but on very few occasions. Now a long bit of a breakaway. Snowy more than up to the task, and Limitless continue playing with all the confidence in the world. A late goal now for Mongolia would of course settle some nerves, but can they even do that?
Will they even be allowed that? Will they be allowed to get at least 1 on the road? They will not. Limitless, after 3 games, match point for them for another entry into the grand finals.
I'm just seeing Greybeard, his message in the background saying that this is not a game for Limitless, it's a declaration of war, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Full credit to your resident wonderful host, because this really is everything Limitless has wanted this series to be. It's going their way with 0 doubt in the mind. And if you're Young Money, you're sitting there waiting for this final match, knowing that Limitless is playing as best as they ever have. You know, this is the Limitless playing at their absolute peak. It might be starting to create some nerves down the other side.
If I'm Young Money Clan and I'm looking at this, I'm like, yep, nope. I'd rather not if I could, but Young Money Clan is going to be facing that Limitless. But, of course, that series is potentially still away. Not even set in stone, a reverse sweep. Still a possibility here for Mongolia, but it would need to take a miraculous shift in fortune, a miraculous shift in execution, basically in any other metric that you could think of, because Mongolia is just being run over by a train, and the train does not have any brakes.
Yeah, I mean, at this stage, I do want to see Mongolia come back and at least take 1 game. Hell, even just some goals at this stage would be a really nice showing for them, because this is a team that is good. It is a team that we're looking to for the future. And while they're certainly using this as a metric for how far behind and how much work they need to do, they do deserve to get a little bit more credit behind them. But when Sweaty is able to carry it like that, oh my goodness, that's some individual play. Even getting checked by 2 players there, just as Snoozy to beat, takes it up nice and high, and Snoozy with a valiant attempt just short of that. It means Limitless carry on their rampage.
Limitless's rampage is very much still underway, and I mean, Sweaty's last touch there, just that little delay on that last little pop-up, just completely throwing Snoozy to the side. And yeah, I think the reverse sweep it's still a possibility, but it is very, very improbable. Limitless are just doing what they want. Werty with a great read off the backboard, good continuation down the pitch, but then again, just someone from Limitless waiting in midfield. This time it was Snowy, just ready to take control whenever the ball is pretty much gifted to them.
And even there, a bit of a breakaway. Snowy waiting patiently in the center, and look how quickly up into the air he is. Allows him to beat out the challenge from Snoozy. Snoozy now having to do some work to get back. Guns has bought some time for the side, but To Die For looks to carry on with this onslaught. Werty having to work out of the corner. It's popped away. Guns up to the task, but Sweaty able to sneak it in underneath them. Snoozy now trying to find an avenue to get it out of their side of the field. Werty slows it down, gets a decent flick, but To Die For, used to this, being the ones pro that he is, manages to outjump him. Snoozy and Guns still valiant attempts to try and fight forward. The tenacity of the side has to be commended. At no stage have they looked like giving up.
They're definitely not giving up.
Oh, yes!
There might be even... Oh, no! They will not be rewarding themselves for their mentality. Snowy finding a way to get that shot out from under, coming down from the crossbar. Werty thought he did everything correctly. And he did. That's the scary part. He did everything correctly, and it still wasn't going in.
There's nothing more you could really ask from Mongolia at this stage. That was a fantastic sequence of play by them. The pass across there was no one left at home, and suddenly Snowy materializing off that backboard, clashing with the ground at the perfect time to be able to stop a pivotal shot. I mean, what a way for Mongolia to attest that we are here, we are a good team, and yet somehow Limitless goes, yes, you're good, but you're not the greats that we've come to be known as.
Good, unfortunately, does not mean better than your opponent. Relativity be damned for Mongolia, as Limitless is set in their ways and are just trying to be the ever harsh dictators of SSA. Snowy nearly with a second goal there.
Well, Mongolia showing that they can frustrate their opponents as well. Now comes clashing off both of the uprights. Limitless and Mongolia both struggling to find any further purchase in this match. The 1-goal lead remains, meaning it's still up in the air for Mongolia to try to bring this back and keep their hopes alive. You said it yesterday, Mark. It's not a true reverse sweep until you do it from late in the mid-breaking game to start your rally to turning the series around.
What a rally it would have needed to be. I think the most charismatic people in history wouldn't even try and dare to attempt this reverse sweep and to attempt to rally behind something that is this low chance of happening. But even still, Mongolia are giving everything on defense with that miraculous save there. Still, Werty, that's a touch that's going a bit lateral, pays the price with it, gets demoed out of the way. Snoozy tries to find Guns, but Sweaty's already there intercepting. Really, Limitless have been going to the library, have pulled out a book that's called Mongolia's game plan, and have had them read ever since the opening 30 seconds of game 1.
Oh no, Snowy! Oh, he is a savage. He is known as cold and clinical in the scene, and just showing why there. Baits out 2 defenders. Still doesn't manage to come away with the goal, meaning Mongolia coming back. But like you say, do they have a novel idea, shall we say, to come back into this and rewrite the script of our series? Werty going for a good little demo play there in the back line, but doesn't find the same efficacy as Mongolia has been suffering up until now. Ball turns down the other way. Sweaty trying with a little bit of a breakaway, but doesn't have the boost behind it. Ball parallel to the goal line. Finds Guns instead in the center. 18 seconds left, and Snoozy looks to start something big here for Mongolia.
He tries, but Guns has to take the ball across and back to his own back corner. Sweaty is there. Shot is good. Sweaty is better on the goal line. Keeps it out. Still gives Mongolia a chance. Long clear. Sweaty, can he make the read? Yes, of course he can. Guns to keep it alive. Can the ball be kept in the air to die for? Is there. Puts it on the ground. Limitless sweeps Mongolia to punch their ticket into the second consecutive Grand Finals.
And that's why the panel gave it a full Limitless backing right now. As Greybeard says, there's days that you bet against Limitless, but this is certainly not the one. A team showcasing what that international experience that they've managed to gather over the years has done for their playstyle. They are here to take on international and local threats and take them apart.
Man, oh man, oh man. Well, let the record show that I got the series prediction correct. My 4-3 was terribly generous, but to me, Limitless are on a mission.
Yeah. I think you said it best when you shot us that one message. Limitless, this isn't a statement of intent anymore. This is a declaration of war, and if you're on the receiving end of that one, you are getting fried, I'm afraid. Right now, Limitless are looking more comfortable. They're looking stronger than YMC. I think in this grand final, YMC will have a mountain to climb if Limitless can keep up this performance.
Yeah, and Ultrazim, I don't know. The one thing that stood out to me is just how well coordinated Limitless seem. And they have been horribly resistant to recording their comms and releasing that. And I so badly want those comms. And I almost think that it needs to become a rule that the comms have to be recorded and submitted, because it just looked so good.
You know, that's the scary thing about a team like this right now. Obviously, To Die For and Snow have been playing together for so long, and Sweaty Clarence has been such a nice inclusion. They've obviously trained him up and brought him into their playbook. But I think at this stage, most of the plays are almost comless. They know they might be like a 1 or 2 lines here being like, I'm center, or I'm up, or I'm out of boost. But other than that, they are so fluid in this that there's no time to come up with a game plan on the fly. They see one player going up the wall with the ball, someone's immediately heading towards that other side of the field for the backboard redirect or something like that. You know, the ability to play as one single mind has come out from Limitless, and the comms are almost secondary at this stage to what they've just practiced and the drills that they've run over and over again.
The Limitless hive mind, indeed. It's quite something to behold, and I know. Look, they're heading now into the grand final. They've got their work to be done there. But I know, knowing Snowy, he's going to be very frustrated at that one game they dropped to Firehawks earlier, because they would have been sitting on the potential of a perfect tournament. But that they still have a very, very good Young Money Clan crew to come up against. But we have arrived at the grand final time. If your driver of the day was out of that last series, go and vote for them. acgl.gg/vote. Who is your driver of the day? The player having the greatest impact on their series, their victory, or even in a valiant and noble loss? Go and vote for your driver of the day. But we come back for the very last, and it seems like a whirlwind, but suddenly here we are, grand final time in qualifier number 2. It's going quicker than we can all absorb, but after a short break, we're bringing you that grand final and all its drama. One more game. That's where we are now. 94 teams at the start. We are left with just 2 to determine qualifier number 2 champions. And Maxfish, we could rewind to 2 weeks ago, although it has to be said the broadcast looked a lot different 2 weeks ago. It was me on a multi-stream watch party trying to figure it all out. But here we are again, Limitless versus Young Money Clan.
I mean, here we are where we deserve to be. It's a grand final. It's a centralized broadcast. It's a storyline that is waiting to happen with all these import teams coming in and Limitless being that last valiant standing fortress of SSA. And thus far, they've been an unwavering fortress. And
you've traveled the whole journey this qualifier, Pyro, with Limitless. You were on their team stream on Friday through Swiss, and you've seen them yesterday, you've seen them today, and you've had a look at Young Money Clan. What is there in your mind some key to unlock beating Limitless?
Yeah, I actually wrote down keys to victory here for YMC. Hey, look at the last matchup that we just saw from Limitless. A majority of their goals came from pass it off and get the demo or the bump. To Die For had 0 goals the entire match, but he had the most demolitions. He's setting up plays for Snowy and Sweaty to complete, and for YMC, you gotta look out for those bumps. You gotta look out for those demos. You have to avoid it. Something else YMC does really well is equalize on possession. In terms of most of their matches, they dominated. So they've also got to make sure they stake their claim and hold their ground and keep that offensive rotation a bit cohesive.
And then, Buckfish, I don't know if you were just going back to that last series for a bit. Limitless were clearly very, very good, and they're in a very, very, very good place right now in terms of their gameplay. But your thoughts on Schmongolia's performance? I mean, they came off quite a high of sort of 4-0 demolition of their own coming into the series. But I don't know for you what you saw in terms of their performance.
It's difficult to put that Schmongolia performance into perspective because Limitless have just been so good and, as Pyro said, so aggressive. So there was never really a phase of really open play where you can see how Schmongolia wants to, sort of tackle Limitless. The few situations where we saw them play directly with one another, but also a little bit too playful for my liking. Just not direct enough. They were trying to place the shots a certain way. They were trying to, make that extra pass in the final third. And that's where Schmongolia, I think, has to be a bit more streamlined towards what's at stake and what's to be gotten if you just play direct Rocket League and just fully focus on scoring that one goal, especially if you have those opportunities.
And the question has always been, since the start of RLCS for SSA, it has been, it was Orlando Pirates and then later Limitless as they are now. But there's always been they at the top and then a couple of teams below. We've spoken about that a lot and closing the gap. And I do think Schmongolia have answered the question on who's the next best team in the region, and Schmongolia are definitely there. But it seems like there's quite a distance for them to be closing. And I do get the feeling, Pyro, that whatever the conversation about the region unlock, and Ultrasm has made reference to it, is that inclusion, the broadening of the competition pool, feels like it has been what has been missing for Limitless for them to step it up a gear.
I don't think there's any missing piece for Limitless to be stepping it up. I think the missing piece, I'm going to be honest, is here's the problem for the rest of the teams of the region. They're obviously getting better, but they have to get better at a rate that accelerates past the way that Snowy, To Die For, and Sweaty are improving. These guys are determined. They are disciplined. They don't want to drop a single game in any of their series. They don't want to drop a single goal. They conceded 1 goal, 1 in the last series. So you have that to work against. You have to improve better than Limitless is improving. And yeah, the conversation around imports, I think, motivates everyone just a little bit more. But we take it to the stat sheet. Let's take a look at the teams as well. We got Limitless on one side. We got YMC on the other. YMC, hey, most often improving on the shot average against all their teams. But Greybeard, you got Limitless. They show you exactly how to top that chart.
Yeah, Muckfish, if we look down there, the stat that always jumps out when you see these comparisons is that win rate. 92% for Limitless, 70% for YMC. And on any day of the week, 70% is a fantastic win rate. But it does kind of highlight that sort of the approach Limitless have had. YMC have won their series, but they have been dropping games along the way.
They have been dropping games, and they have been dropping games because they are still a little bit unsure defensively of how to deal with their opponents coming their way. You can see a bit of panic on defense, and that is something that they will be punished for against Limitless. Simple as, if YMC wants to have any chance, they have to be very confident of where they're positioned defensively and where the opponent is coming from, because as Pyro said, To Die For is out for car parts today.
And I'm looking, Pyro, at the comparison To Die For and Nugget, the extreme left, extreme right there, because for me those are the two sort of comparable opponents here, and kind of, I mean, To Die For is the ultimate stat padder, but I think it's a good matchup with he and Nugget.
I'm glad you mentioned Nugget because he was the key difference maker when you look at their matchups leading to the grand finals. He assisted most of the goals in the first part of his series, but then would score every single one. He is fantastic at the next step ahead in the gameplay. Whether he has to make the pass, the bump, or the shot happen, he's been very precise in that regard. So yeah, you look at Nugget, you look at Sweaty, heck, you can look at To Die For. There you go. A stat pattern indeed. And again, I mentioned it earlier, pay attention to the demos from To Die For. He was big on the semifinals, but don't be surprised if he switches that role, because he'll hit a flip reset double tap on you if he really has to as well.
Well, that's the impressive thing about To Die For. I mean, he is so good, and you often get lost with what he's doing up front. And Snowy mentioned it to me, I think early in last season already, is that no one really appreciates how good To Die For is in defense. And he's that all-round player. He is so good defensively, which you often miss just because he's so flashy up front. But
I mean, it's sort of that where if you're playing with Snowy, who has been that good offensively for in SSA, and now Sweaty comes in as a bit of a younger player, it almost always leads to one player being underappreciated on the roster. I mean, you could see it in Europe, you could see it in North America, you could see it here even with To Die For, where these players that do the heavy lifting on some of the parts, not necessarily scoring the goals, not necessarily even getting most of the saves, even though To Die For does both, but just being that grinder in midfield. That's a really important gap to fill in a team. That's where I think the most value is gotten for a cohesive team effort.
all right, so let's get to the predictions. Chat has Limitless firmly in front at 86%. Yeah. And I'm going to go first because why not? And I do look, this is a repeat of the grand final from 2 weeks ago. It was a 4-0 sweep, Limitless doing their work. And I'm hesitant to call for and say it's going to be a sweep again. But given what we have seen of these two teams, for me, Limitless, Machtfish, you're next.
I'm a sucker for storylines. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for storylines. I need the third region to be the all-decisive one. Give me Young Money Clan. Just for the storyline, please. I don't want Limitless to secure Copenhagen just by going to grand finals. I want Limitless, if they want, or Young Money Clan, if they want to go to Copenhagen, you have to win that third regional, and this is the only way to ensure exactly that outcome.
All right, Pyro.
Yeah, Mike, I appreciate that because a lot of people are calling us biased here on the desk. Well, guess what happened in the last grand finals? Limitless swept. Okay, they outscored their opposition 17-5. Limitless have only dropped 4 singular games this entire season. You expect it in this series? Let's take it to the grand finals, folks. I'm casting it with altruism. Let's hear it all.
All right. So, okay, off you go, gentlemen. This is it, the grand finals, and go!
Oh man, Greybeard had to get that word in there because you can hear the excitement in his voice. You can hear the excitement here in the casting booth. This is it. This is grand finals. Limitless looking to repeat what they did 2 weekends ago. And Young Money Clan looking for retribution.
Oh, retribution, revenge. It's a cold dish, but will it be served today? Game number 1 of our grand finals, qualifier number 2. And Young Money Clan yet to take a game off of this top SSA team. Can they do it here?
Oh, it's going to be a hard task. After watching Limitless there in that semifinals, these guys know what they're doing. And they're going to be bringing every blow that they can, most of them to your face, if they've got anything to say about it. Snowy going to go high, gets the flip reset, gets the pass 1, gets the extra touch, and Limitless start us off with the goal.
What's that, a demolition as the goal is occurring? What a surprise! Sweaty completes the effort, clashing in with the defensive, but let's talk Snowy for a second. Gets that first goal. This player has not missed a singular grand final in SSA RLCS history. Oh, you think he would get tired of it?
No one retires in SSA, and Snowy on this hot streak that he's got, backed up by the team that doesn't let him down at any opportunity. That is not a time that you leave your crown just yet. Look at that, even backed up by his teammates there. Snowy getting removed from the pitch. Gets to die for a little bit of space, and Snowy once more back onto the field, gets up to this ball, sends it harmlessly to the corner. A little motion, trying to create some more havoc here. But so far, meeting up against a brick wall.
Motion can be that havoc creator, not only in the physicality department, but also with surprising shots. I've seen Motion get a couple double flip resets throughout the couple qualifiers we've played here this season, as well as just hitting shots from any angle. So you got to be wary if you're Limitless from any shot position YMC are at. Motion setting up a double tap for himself on target, but not enough juice.
That's the thing, right? Even when it goes onto the backboard, and I think that's something that Young Money is going to have to do if they're going to want to take the series back towards himself. Is that backboard, they've shown such proficiency on it. They're reading those touches fantastically, whether they're setting it up for themselves or for their teammates. Here comes another chance. Nugget's going to get it on top of it, but Sweaty, with the rest of his team in tow, all jumped for that. He's the one to claim the save for now. So Limitless stay ahead to die for, actually beaten in the air, and both of the Limitless players back, but Snowy up to the task.
Well, you know what? After Schmongolia scored only 1 goal in the semifinals throughout the entire series, in that last one we just saw, people are waiting to see Limitless be battle-tested on the defense, and boy, are they ever. A savior medal already in store for Snowy as he's keeping that goal line secure.
You know, with this whole talk about local versus international and SSA, this is the team that's benefiting the most. You've got to say, Limitless has been rather untested, like you say, for the longest period of time. I think Snowy has been on the best team in the country for roughly about 5 or 6 years now. And so him having someone to actually test and really flex his models against, I mean, that's an anime protagonist story if you ever wanted one.
It really is, but you never know if the protagonist will stay alive, will survive, will continue to succeed. That's a big question mark in this series, and an exclamation point almost there for Nugget. To the top corner, he places the shot, but Sweaty secures the save. Motion, no doink available. On the shot take, Nugget to the midfield. Motion peeling into the play, but to die for. Quicker in the touch. Corner play. Out from Riho, and quickly out towards the net. Snowy has been that third man a few times here, making those incredible saves, and continues to do so.
And he looks so comfortable on it as well. It's not just getting something on the ball. He gets himself reading that thing perfectly. Gonna have to be some work from Sweaty. He comes off the back wall with aplomb. Even manages to collect it well out of the corner. He's going for this. Even looks for the bump on the way through there. Limitless, has to be said, being pushed back for a longer period of time than any team has yet to force them into this situation. Of course, that's what we expect from the grand finals. YMC is here for a reason. Also uncontested. They were the only other team to come through the Swiss stage without dropping a game, or at least a series. Now, however, they've got a minute left to do something about this 1 goal.
Yeah, they didn't drop a game, but guess what? Limitless still not dropping a goal. If they do that in this game, it'll be 4 games in a row. And they're a minute away from that, even less. But Riho and company, they are winning in the shots department, doing a great job of equalizing on the possession. They need to find that shot that will actually be the dagger to take to OT.
Sweaty doing work versus 2 there. Manages to start the walk up to the field for To Die For. To Die For, again, such an innovative player, able to change his pace quickly halfway through a maneuver. Snowy comes out of the back line to try and reinforce this, looking for something off the backboard. He's pulled a little motion high. Second one has to reinforce. Nugget now going to join Riho in the corner. To Die For up for this. He's got the first touch, looking for the backboard, decides to take it in and just denied out. But Limitless still utilizing that early goal to their advantage, holding stalwarts in the back lines. They're going to take game number 1.
Hey, 1 goal. That's all you need sometimes, but on the defensive line, they needed some stats as well. 8 in total in the saves department from Limitless against the 8 registered from Young Money Clan. So YMC, you're putting it on target, but there's too many strong defenders in the way.
Yeah. This is the Nugget story all over again, right? Yesterday we see him taking 10 shots in a match and getting 1 goal in there. He's 4 shy of those shots now, and the 1 goal being the key difference. The conversion percentage. This Young Money Clan, as many times as they come forward, they're rebuffed by their opponents. Limitless, stalwart in the back line, and like you said earlier, Snowy being the key to that defensive prowess, putting on 4 saves himself, not to mention how many times he cut it out in the midfield, not to mention how many good clears he got there, or redirects that weren't counted. Just a potent wall that meets anything that Young Money is coming up with.
Yeah, Snowy instrumental. You mentioned the wall, and that's the different trend we're actually seeing out of Limitless. Oftentimes and historically, the idea to beat Limitless is to not allow them to score at least 4 goals. They're very much a high-scoring team. Well, today, it's been completely different. It's been about scoring on Limitless. They score a single goal, and that's enough. You need to test them. You need to make Limitless sweat in some way and disrupt their near perfection here. I'm putting them on a high bar saying the word perfection altruism, but that is 4 games in a row today that they have not conceded a goal. YMC have got to end that streak.
Yep, perfection. This is as close to perfection as you could be asking from any squad. And little motion with a nice little bump to start things out there. The rest of Limitless able to pick this up and carry it themselves. And I think this is something that needs to be credited towards YMC right now. Most of Limitless, they love to get that pressure on their opponents. They love to control possession for a long period of play. Right now, they're kind of being threatened with that. They haven't been able to keep going with, 20, 30, 40 seconds of shot after shot. YMC certainly finding their way down to the other side of the field very often, more often than Limitless would like.
And I do like the ideas that YMC are putting forward. They've got the progression up the field, and it's combined with that bump attempt from Motion. He's working the back line, trying to get a bump to go, but you see Limitless's positioning. They're within the goal, or they're away from that bumper. They're not going to be tested in that way unless you get a little bit of creativity, unless you really headhunt. Hunting for this goal, though, is Nugget. He beats one, almost beats To Die For the ball on the goal line. The shot there from Motion is just off the post.
Oh, heartbreak here for YMC. They did it in the previous series. Thankfully, it didn't cost them there. But right now, shot after shot, finding the pixels. And unfortunately, they just happen to be the ones that are solidified and don't cause it to come back in. Instead, the turnaround now. Limitless, Snowy and Sweaty working well together to find the pass towards the center. Now they're starting to cramp up their opponents. Little Motion doesn't get anything on this. Leaving it up for Snowy. Snowy takes a shot down. Little Motion in their way, meaning that Limitless can't get providence and dividends out of their hard work. Instead, we see a turnaround towards the other side. Sweaty and To Die For waiting here to try blast it. Get back into the offensive.
Yeah, you saw the turnaround, but you also saw 2 demolitions. So Young Money Clan, no reinforcements really to get that shot to go. The worst thing they could have done after coming so close to that goal would be conceding 1 from Limitless. They managed to not do that. Motion single-handedly. That last defender evading a bump and making that save keeps them in this game. Now Motion, the chance for the shot after Snowy is demoed, but Sweaty well positioned on the back wall.
Oh, if he had more boost, what control coming out of Sweaty there to be able to take it up so high, realizing he's got no teammate with him on the ground. Little Motion, though, also showing some aerial proficiency, and he finds the pass to Nuggets. Nuggets gonna draw blood, and that 4-game streak is all that Limitless are gonna be able to hold now without scoring a goal, without conceding a goal at least, as Nugget finally, his tenacity proves fruitful.
That is the right idea from Motion. You mentioned if Sweaty had more boost off the back wall, how far he could take it. Well, Motion says, I'll show you exactly how far. Flip resets past the ball to get the bump and open up the back wall for the shot from Nugget. That is the idea for Young Money Clan to achieve greatness on the counterattack.
Quick blast through comes to die for, but he
Oh,
and Sweaty both up to the ball, leaves that all too vacant in their own side, and the communications that Greybeard was talking about this time falter for just a second. Little Motion going to secure the goal, shall we say, at the end there. But here, Nuggets, I think, regardless of who gets credited with the points there, we're going to be happy that their team now up by 2.
And how often do we see Limitless double commit like that? I feel like it's not very common. In that moment, Snowy saw both go up and said, oh boy, I don't have enough time to get back, do I? 2-0 up for Young Money Clan as they are really staking their claim in game number 2. They find a demolition on to die for as well, immediately turning his ball around.
Man, those demos are proving to be fruitful. And certainly YMC looking to return some of their own medicine here back to Limitless, who's been utilizing them the whole way through. But this time it doesn't come out to any sort of goal. Instead, to die for going to pick this up. He's a long way away from the ball and can't track it down in the air, but he's got another touch in the demo. This time, Limitless show them how it's done. The goal wide open, and to die for slots it back.
Look at Sweaty, the bodyguard. Just like, yes, this way, please, to die for. Yep, to the goal line. Okay, perfect. There's always someone positioned for Limitless to get that last bump, that last demo. This time, there was no one left. So they close this scoring gap to halfway, but still more work to be done from LMT. Oh,
and they did the work there. Snowy once more, the savior on the goal line after it went past one quite softly. He's found his teammates in a good position. Nuggets trying to find Little Motion. They've been devastating when they're able to push up together. And they're trying it now. Little Motion hands it off, but it's too far away for his teammate to reach. Rio with work to do. Gets denied out by Snowy. To die for the first one there. Pops it backwards. Sweaty's up. There's no one home, but Rio manages to get there in time.
I don't even know how Sweaty managed to get that shot there. Little Motion, double tap. Oh, no, he's just above the ball. That was it. That could have secured the game win, but Limitless now still in it. Snowy battling for the ball in the midfield, and there goes Sweaty for the bumps on the goal line. Motion has been doing the best job at evading these goal line bumps and then clearing the ball. That has really been the difference maker. We have not seen that from the opposition against Limitless thus far. 20 seconds for LMT to score. Snowy trying to find a way.
Snowy's shot just off target there, and instead it returns. Little Motion gonna pick it up after Limitless lose control in the midfield. Once more, he and Nuggets, an inseparable duo. And that shot, absolutely perfect, both in terms of placement and power. It is going to be YMC picking it up by 2. With 14 seconds left, Limitless look to be threatened for the first time in a while.
I'm comfortable calling it here. What, 5 seconds across the board, 2 goals? It ain't gonna happen. Young Money Clan, you were swept in the last grand finals, but will not repeat history here. They take their first game early on in game number 2 to equalize the set.
Pyro, what just happened there? Is this a sign that YMC has actually stepped it up a level? I mean, they've equaled out their shots. Actually, no, 50% more on the board there. 6 shots coming towards them. Forced to still make 6 saves for themselves. But the important thing is, Limitless restricted once more to only 1 goal, whereas Young Money Clan has found a way through.
It does feel like the difference maker, doesn't it? The fact that Limitless have averaged 1 goal a game, that's just not what you expect out of playmakers like To Die For, who, didn't score a single goal in the last series, but set up Limitless for so many. You expect Snowy and Sweaty to just drive those shots home, but it's not the case this time, Altruism. Young Money Clan getting the goals where they count, whether it's off counterattack or good possession play.
Good possession play. I think everything that these teams have available to themselves is going to have to come to the fore. Limitless have shown that they can bleed. And Young Money Clan have tasted that. Now they want more. Now they realize that all of the psychology that has been plaguing them since our last regional qualify has suddenly dissipated. Limitless, though, are really going to want to get back on that. If I know Snowy and the rest of the crew, it's that they do not take well to going down a game. This is always where you see them revitalize and pull out everything in their back pockets. And they came into this with a statement of war. Now let's see if they can follow it through. Game number 3 going to be starting in just a second.
Yeah, just a second, right? As we get this beautiful visual of Utopia as we're set here on the dusk. But yeah, we've got a player who accidentally closed the game on one of the teams here. So, you know, I'll leave that to be mystified in the shadows as we await the start of this game. DQ timer has begun, but I doubt we'll get to the end of it. In order to make that transition, Altruism, Limitless, you say they're going to be the beast that's awakened again to make themselves back to the dominant form. What's it going to take?
What's it going to take for them to get back? Doing what they were doing earlier and what they have actually been trying to do for most of the series. You know, they're still linking up for those good plays. The demos have still been coming out full and fast. They suffered a couple of demos themselves, and so avoiding that obviously going to prove very good. But maybe it was just a case of, to die for. This is a typical kickoff strategy that we have actually seen from Limitless a lot, where the second man doesn't go for the ball. They instead go for the player and opens things up. And it certainly gave Sweaty a good chance there. Nugget showing that he's not just a potent offense player here, but he's as defensive as well. Now Snowy tries to send it out, but only meets little motion. Instead comes back to challenge it once more. Drops down in front of the net. Ball goes wide.
Close chances for both teams here. We saw the double tap attempt there from Sweaty and a great save from Nugget. And now some good saves coming out from Limitless. But who's going to win that midfield game? Where is the balance going to shift? I feel like it's got to happen there. Whoever dominates control gets more of the possession play motion. How about the ball handling there from the midfield? Dribbling and flicking. Pass to the other side. Snowy beating that midfield engagement. 11 boost to his name. Pass off the backboard. Sweaty is there, but it's a back wall touch. And they left more to be desired.
Yeah, oh no, Snowy didn't have the boost, and after to die for, handed the ball away. Limitless left scrambling for a second, content that that ball was not more threatening towards themselves. But a rare opportunity there goes awry for YMC, and instead they're having to deal with shot after shot. This is where Limitless really shine, when they get some pressure building. Sweaty cuts it out the midfield. Snowy's up to the ball quickly. To die for, he's leaping up. Riho, the one to beat. Riho doesn't get a good touch, gets bumped a little bit, and Snowy gonna find the opening.
The bread and butter of Limitless is the pass and bump combo from To Die For. Not only off the backboard does he go, but he tests Riho to even keep 4 wheels on the back wall to make the save. Limitless take the lead.
Limitless take the lead as they have been so desperately wanting to get back into that last game. So frustrating for them. But YMC not out of it yet. They just got to work on these touches. A couple of too many going backwards. Only just being picked up by their teammates to try and alleviate this. Nugget now gives away a little bit of space. To Die For, going to put pressure under little motion, and Snowy was charging him down for that. Now Sweaty getting involved. Looks for the pass towards the center. He's won the 50. It's popped up nice and high. To Die For is quickly towards us. Pops it out of the corner. Snowy didn't realize it was coming down. He decides to tuck out of it. Nugget with a little bit of a breakaway. Snowy, though, can't find any purchase for this. So he's going to leave it up to Sweaty. Sweaty, who loves to take this high ball through. Can he get the bump? At least puts the pressure. To Die For there, once more causing physicality and consternation. But he can return it just as well himself as this midfield tussle collapses.
The Young Money Clan have responded very effectively here. What they needed to do was stall the possession game from Limitless, and they've turned it around quite well here in the last few seconds. They've gotten a demolition onto Sweaty as well, but it's the clear found from Snowy that quells the force of Young Money Clan. It's taken out to the corner. Riho following this ball in pursuit is motion, but he leaves it there for Nugget. Not sure if it was called that way, but still, the denial does come from Limitless. A high touch past Riho and a read from the back wall of motion, but it follows a shot to the top corner. Snowy will not be silenced.
Amazing. Sends it up high, looking for a teammate. The demo on Sweaty. That meant that there was no one else coming in, and so Snowy takes it upon his shoulders, reads the attempted clear. It would have been harder if it just dropped towards the center, but Snowy, with the angle and the power, manages to pull it up, gets a second to his name and to his team, and suddenly Limitless, far more confidence. They dropped that one game, but otherwise returning to what seems to be a good, solid holdout of any oppositions. Suddenly, YMC, the ones who have to reinvigorate their game plan. And a good start with a really nice musty pass towards Nugget in the center.
There's a demolition on the defensive side of Limitless, and for Motion, there is just one defender to beat. It's to die for. What do? Stall the play, wait for the challenge, and Musty flick ahead. Well played there from Motion. He's been a big difference maker for Young Money Clan to keep them in this game.
Yeah, I mean, that was a fantastic movement. Once more, it's Little Motion and Nugget going perfectly together. You could see Nugget didn't push too aggressively. He waited. He knew the patience, and he knew the arsenal at the disposal of his teammates. Nugget just waits there while Little Motion pulling off a spectacular use of the Musty. And that's what I like to see when I see a mechanic like that pulled out. It's not about being able to do it. It's about being able to do it at the right moment. And he picked it there, picks him up a goal, brings it back to 1 within a minute.
Limitless, though. They've changed their average. They had only 1 goal per game. Each one. They've got 2 now and searching for 3. Snowy, is it the hat trick? Put that cap on! Oh, to the front. Limitless go. Ensure their 2-goal lead back.
Well, Riho trying to make a desperate attempt there. Once more physicality being involved in that play. Snowy had the space because of the body check. He took it high, out of reach of any of the 2 waiting defenders. Makes no mistake on that. It shows the EU that we too know what the skies look like. Now onto the backboard to clear this out. Little Motion tries to pop it up high, trying to follow it, but to dive for always one of the quickest people into the air for either side on a field, on any given field, in fact. Now Sweaty in the center, he's got some power, he's found the crossbar, and Rio gets to it before a blue player can.
Yeah, Riho, the big savior on that play. There were 2 defenders that did not expect a hard shot to the crossbar. It bounced really nicely for Limitless, but Riho gets in front of it. Oh, trying to get in front of that engagement, though. They need 2 goals in 30 seconds. Motion behind the ball. There's a shot the other way. I think it's wide. No, it's inside. To die for the 4th goal and surely securing the win in Game 3.
That little touch, Little Motion, knowing that his team has to score a goal here and now, pushes up aggressively. And the smallest little doink over the top means that he's just not in position. I'm pretty sure there was a demo somewhere along the line that meant that the 3rd player was out, but even if we're in doubt previously, no doubt this time it's going to die for, going to bring it back. And once more, the battle cry rages out from the Limitless fans and from their players alike.
Whoa. To die for from the sidewall, the wave dash and the flip the other way just to beat that extra 50-50, just to dig the ditch deeper against Young Money Clan. It's going to be quite the space to crawl out of off this deafening defeat as Limitless take game number 3, 5-1, swinging the favor back on their side.
This is a series that has the potential to go all the way to a game 7, but Limitless have just made a hesitant step here for Young Money if they want to keep progressing further. I mean, Young Money would have been feeling so much better after game number 2, but even that wasn't as convincing a victory as this. Limitless give them more to think about at every step and show them that their power really does live up to their name.
This is the one trend that I see staying here after, this is our 3rd season casting RLCS for SSA, right? Is that when you beat Limitless in a game, you awaken the beast. They come back and they beat you into the ground. Like, that is a seriously convincing win there for Limitless. Yeah, it stretched away in the later seconds, but what did you see in the mid game there, Altruism? Anytime Young Money Clan, they fight back, it's Snowy, just to assert his claim again and again.
Yeah, and that kind of shows the depth of a lineup that wants to be crowned the champions of their region. It's not just one player. Snowy has been so pivotal on that backline in the third man role, but when he gets the space, when it's his turn to shine, he doesn't need the other people to come with him. He can do so much on his own. If he finds a teammate along the way, he'll happily shake their hand and hand off the ball if he needs to. But otherwise, every single person on this field from both sides knows what they're doing. So far, Young Money's relying a little bit too much on Little Motion and Nugget at the top. Riho not getting involved to the same extent. But Limitless, every single one of those three players has a potency behind them that is not to be underestimated.
We'll underestimate them no further. Wow, that is a unique kickoff. Whole lot of misses there. It really opens up the field for Young Money Clan. Almost had an initial lead from them. Talk about Young Money Clan making adjustments in this game. They don't call the timeout, which I understand, but they only had 2 registered shots in that last game. They averaged not just like 8 to 10 in a game, but they also normally have more shots than their opposition. So that is a far cry in Game 3 from what we're used to from Young Money Clan. They need a big switch up in Game 4.
Well, that's what we said that Limitless loves to do to their opposition. Just crowd them in and tighten the noose as slowly or as quickly as it takes. Eventually, the outcome is the same. Eventually, going to find that. And as Limitless proved that they could bleed in game number 2, they've shown that they've staunched that quite quickly. Now deflecting goals from their side of the field, and turning it back to Die For now, pushing forward, gets the demo. Ball pops out towards the center. Rio going to have to take it high and long. Gets one touch. Doesn't find Little Motion instead. Snowy back into the challenge. Still finding its way towards the blue goal, though, as eventually to Die For gets a little bit more space for his side. Little Motion wants to try and keep his team on the front foot and keep Limitless away from these shot opportunities.
Oh, you see Snowy there. Defeating the challenger of Young Money Clan after that double commit. Very instrumental to make sure Limitless don't get in a tight spot on defense. Oh, Riho demoed in his own net there. Now they're going after Nugget. He misses the back wall read. That's an open look there for Sweaty, but Nugget, oh, he comes to the occasion. What a save on the back line.
What an incredible showing from Nugget there. That is a fantastic and probably instrumental save that he's just been forced into there. How much work do each of these players have to do? It's something that I brought up for previous squads that haven't made it as far here as the grand finals, is that when you look at 2 teams like this, you just see such efficiency on every one of the plays. It's beat one, get a 50 versus the second, and then go for the demo. In this case, it's pull off save after save to keep your team alive.
And save after save they do. Young Money Clan weathering both the shots and the bumps there, and the boost steals. Limitless trying to ensure that their resource management keeps them in an advantageous position, but Little Motion, he turns the tides. A demolition and a clear, but not the dunk against his opposition. Riho in a safe space trails the ball to the corner. Nugget with a wave dash, pass to the midfield, gets intercepted. Limitless right on the front foot of some of these plays, asserting their dominance at every challenge.
These 50s are becoming so big right now. How quickly this ball is starting to move around the field is pivotal. Every one of these jumps needs to be a good collect. You have to make contact and you have to get it exactly where you want it. The teammates need to be enabled. As we see a bit of trickery coming out there. 2 touches from YMC needed. Sweaty's on the hunt. Nugget and Riho working against each other. They both jump, but it's Little Motion from the sky to shut that down. Limitless once more denied to Die For, trying to get up, gets up over Nuggets, unable to follow the ball because of that body check, but he's going to look for a second one here.
I'll tell you what, Riho is the only one with boost there as the dust kind of settled in that sense, but managed to really be instrumental in the clear and then the follow-up for the 50-50 to equal the playing field. Speaking of equal, we're still tied 0-0 coming up to the final minute in a game that seems very, very important for Young Money Clan. This could be the most vital final minute of gameplay of the series for them.
Oh man, the difference between 2-all and 3-1 is everything, but to Die For, gonna put paid to that straight away. He keeps looking for these opportunities in the air. He's gonna take himself on a walk around the goal and underneath the crossbar. 2 people once more forced into a jump from YMC, and yet neither of them up to the task.
The reset, the air dribble. See you later, Young Money Clan. I mentioned how it would be an important minute. We are right at 60 seconds on this kickoff, and it's not equal anymore. They're trailing. Maybe not for longer. Nugget with a shot and a dunk as well, but it's just above the crossbar. Motion wants to keep it going, and Riho's there for the shot. The pre-flip is wide. Gets a great effort on the ball and keeps the pressure mounting against Limitless. Now Snowy out to die for on the counter. Riho wants to get it back in action on their side. Nugget with a shot off the crossbar. Riho's there. You mentioned he wasn't potent enough. Can you see him now?
Oh, he has worked magic, finally getting the wings to come forward. Snowy with a rare miss on that top bar, just can't get it to the side. You said the last 60 seconds were going to be pivotal. At 60, we had ourselves our first goal. 31 down after that. We get our second. It's back to that level game. And if the first 60 seconds were tense, now we get to see the last 30 being even more so. Sweaty gets himself a bump, and To Die For takes to the skies.
Full flip reset. It's almost on target. It's right off the post. 10 seconds remaining. Young Money Clan. They've completed games on 0-second goals and 10-second goals. Can they do it here? The ball's in the air. Snowy trails on it. And you think the search is for overtime. To Die For still trails this ball towards the net. And OT. Extra time in game 4.
This is the clash we were looking for. To Die For with a little bit of a breakaway. Gets the dunk down. Our first overtime at all between these two teams, considering the sweep of the previous regional qualifier. But now it's up. Everyone's hackles are raised. Sweaty tries to find the corner, gets the second one. Snowy's up to this, but cleared aside by Nugget. To Die For, gonna find off the top. There's a bit of physical contact in there. Sweaty wasn't in the position to be able to take the shot. A little bit of confusion between the two on the side walls, but still To Die For there to reinforce. Fortunately, he's given it away to his oppositions as the ball goes high. No one jumping for this. The shot down. To Die For collects it with composure.
A scary moment with Rio up in the air and nobody there to challenge him. As you mentioned, every Limitless player grounded in that moment. But now they're grounded, determined to make this next attempt count. Nugget finding motion on the other side. After the demolition, Limitless have to go back to the drawing board to get this offense to work. To Die For. No boost, but the dunk occurs. Snowy's there. The follow-up from Sweaty. It's good. Limitless now on match point.
Everyone just throwing bodies at this. Little motion. He wasn't able to compete with the pace that ball ricocheted just outside of the net. The pass was perfect. The follow-up flawless. Despite the pressure surrounding this Limitless side at every turn, they get ahead by 1, and that's again all it takes. The shot tally, cumulative for both these sides, up there above 20 shots in this match, and yet only 3 goals to come from it. A devastating performance from the defense of both sides. But Limitless was just one step ahead as they get themselves to series, to qualifier points, and effectively to that complete major slot.
Oh. Yeah, I wanna pat on the brakes here, because Qual 3 can still happen. You never know what occurs. YMC, even if they lose here, may just have that major spot, but poor Limitless sitting pretty off of that OT victory. I gotta say, since the kickoff from OT, they were hammering away. They had possession, they had control. But in that final 60 seconds of regulation, I have to applaud Young Money Clan. I mean, this team, they truly played like they needed a goal. They essentially got it in 30 seconds. I almost want to see that bigger from YMC throughout the entire game. Play like truly you are needing to score a goal in the last 60 seconds, and maybe we'll see that venomous attack again.
Yeah, one thing I've come to learn from this weekend is that you do not count out a European side at any stage. You do not say that, okay, there's 10 seconds left, there's 15 seconds left, they got to score 1, they got to score 2. They can bring it out. They will fight to the end. They have taken a big risk. There's been a lot of critics about our import sides, and yet they are here to show why they want to challenge for these major spots, why they are here to earn that money. And it's certainly pushing our players in the local scene to a level that we have rarely seen forced out of Limitless.
Yeah, especially in the grand final. I mean, Limitless, they have a knack for dropping a game here and there. Heck, the Firehawks took a game off of them in Swiss during this event. But when it comes to the grand finals, you truly see the peak of this team given everything that's on the line, especially when we talk to Snowy in the post-match interviews of the grand finals. He just says, you know, head down focus, determined to get that win and lose no feather from it. So for YMC to take this game, their first game against Limitless, you'd think they could come close to bringing it to Game 7 Altruism. But with having to win the next 3, by the way, we're waiting for the server to get back up. It crashed for a second there. But yeah, with having to win 3 in a row, that's a tough climb to make.
That is a tough climb to make. They've certainly shown that they can take games off Limitless, but now you're facing the fact that it was previously a sweep, and now you're sitting on almost effectively a reverse sweep required. We're back into the game, it seems. We are going to be rushing through this, and I think we're going to just go back to just a stall for a second. These two teams have had the moment, effectively a good timeout for them. And so certainly YMC are going to have shared some words. And Pyro, you've been around the scene for long enough. What do you think are the words that would be shared by a good coach against such formidable opposition?
You know what? At this point, I just want the team to recollect themselves and go back into this next game with the same ability, right? Because Game 3 to Game 4, the transition was monumental. We're talking about 2 shots in game number 3 from YMC. And then you look at the overtime push in game number 4. It was night and day. So the adjustments, Altruism, I would say, have been made already from Young Money Clan. You just got to go out there and give it your all here in game number 5 and try to not only force OT, but maybe get that lead, that tone setter at the start.
Yeah, I mean, look at how many of those shots from Young Money just clashed against the woodwork. They got denied by millimeters, it seemed there. And it certainly wasn't a lack of opportunities that held them back in that previous game. You just keep coming forward. You keep putting in those shots. And eventually, somewhere, the Rocket League gods could smile their favor upon you. And you do get those extra couple of millimeters. It's just now. You've done all the practice. You've done all of the research. You're here to play on the big stage. You settle your nerves while we have this brief little intermission. And then you get back into it with everything you've got, nothing left behind. And whether you win or lose, I think at that stage, you hold your head up high.
That's a fact. Their mentality, though, is about that loss, about getting that win. Wonder what Limitless are doing, especially after that OT victory, getting fired up and then having to cool the jets off this long, extended break. Talk about what YMC are talking about, but really for Limitless, it's about keeping that fire blazing. And we may stay hot here because finally Game 5 is ready for us. We're all set on the field and match point finally in favor of Limitless. We could have the final game of our grand finals.
And you mentioned there that keeping the fire alive, that is something that Limitless has to do. We have seen it in the past where when they're feeling very comfortable in a series, then they just ease off. They start messing around. But I don't think here, with a game down and they themselves really on the verge of that international trip to Copenhagen, that they're going to leave anything behind. They're coming back with a sweaty fest as he takes control of the ball. Tries to find a pass towards Snowy. Snowy not in position to be able to receive that. Instead, Sweaty keeps going to die for up on the wall. Wants to try and shut down an avenue. Now he's going for a bit of a creative play. He actually gets the touch. Snowy tries to push it towards the center as Sweaty challenges for the shots. And yet none of them able to find it. But so far, YMC looking a little cramped up.
And I do wonder if the idea there from Sweaty was to pass instead of shoot, because you have 2 shot takers ready to read that off the backboard. The angle was just too wide, I think, for Snowy to make anything do with it. But to die for, the angle's almost there for the double tap off the corner. No need for the second touch when you've got Sweaty as the follow.
Well, you wondered if that previous one was a pass. You can certainly see that is the intent here from Limitless as often as they can. They know someone's coming in, and that personally is one of my favorite plays. Put it into the corner at that 45-degree angle and let it pop out to one of your teammates. Makes it so difficult for one of the defenders to get to it in time. You're just placing it up into such a nice opportunity for a teammate, assuming that they're ready for it. And you can be sure Limitless always going to be ready to take the shot. This time, Snowy gets himself with a booming shot straight down the center.
Oh man, Nugget, you can tell the idea, but he lost control of it. It kicks off every player of Young Money Clan, but they pinball it the wrong way. It's time to shoot that ball back into the slot. Pinball back at it here with bumping cars and the ball going everywhere. I'll tell you what, Altruism, Young Money Clan, they're the most fun to watch when they're at a deficit. They will send everybody for the goal. And what do I tell you? This time, it only takes one.
Man, the backboard reads of the squad are sublime to watch, to use a word Mark Fish loves, because that, off that angle, at that pace, he's got one touch to set himself up. He barely gets it off the wall. Upside down, he follows at a foot off the ground, and still it finds its way into the back of the net. Still Limitless now. One goal up as opposed to two. They're straight away back into the attack. And Nuggets going to keep it safe for now. The Riho doing at least some work back into the series.
Yeah, part of the work definitely done here. 3 minutes still to go, and okay, Riho. They get a left, right, center, just about everywhere there, near your goal line. Luckily for him, it wasn't in position where Limitless could actually score from, so they managed to get away with it. Nugget now at the midfield line. Takes the challenge against Snowy to die for, getting the better of it though. Still staking claim to this corner. And now Snowy avoids the bump from Riho. Gets the clear as well. Sweaty all ready to cherry pick. He misses the bump. And Young Money Clan are better for it.
Little motion now with a long way to go. He's carrying it well. Left it go at the end there, giving Snowy an opportunity to intercept. That miss from Rio gives Snowy a high line through there. He drops it down past one. Sweaty's there for the extra touch. And Snowy guiding his teammates through this play there. Baits enough of them into the air. That little motion left stationary.
This is the biggest worry right now for YMC. It's that Limitless are back to their bread and butter. You see the reset attempt there from Snowy. It gives him so many options to shoot, to take the next shot off the ground, but he evades the ball and goes for the bump, goes for the disruption play, allows his team to finish it instead. It's what they love to do, is lead with the bump. To Die For may do that here, but Snowy cannot win the challenge. 2 minutes to go, and everything to work for YMC.
YMC, you can see how aggressively they push up. As soon as there's no one there from Limitless to take a shot, everyone from our orange side getting involved with this, but being turned away in the corner. Snowy going to keep it out of harm's way for a little bit as well. And he's got Sweaty and To Die For lingering, waiting. To Die For, the one to make the jump to stop it in its tracks, but Rio trying to find it high. Sweaty up to the task. Nugget has to do some work just to try and stop the progression of the ball. But To Die For, finding his route, finding his tires for that flip reset and trying to cover towards the center. Once more, little motion to the skies. Snowy relying on the work on the backboard.
Limitless, they have to be careful, but not too careful. To Die For gets a flip reset in the pass right in front of the goal, but no other player from Limitless is even past the half-court line. They're playing so passive and so patient that at a point, they're relinquishing possession back to YMC. It may put them in favor for this next goal, but not for Sweaty getting the save in the 50 at the half-court line. Not for To Die For if he's still on the field and putting up shots like this.
It seems to be the story on how to beat this YMC side. You withstand all the pressure you need to, and then a good little dunk there from Sweaty sends the ball rocketing to the other corner, and that's your moment to shine. You break away from the shackles that you've been forced under, and you just charge ahead. A free man, a free goal, and looking to be the end of the road here. Limitless not reflecting as well as they did in the previous, but certainly a good enough showing to make all of SSA cheer.
Yeah, but if you've been watching YMC, you know this team will not give in until the very end. They're still charging forward themselves. 30 seconds and 3 goals to make up for. Sweaty with a long clear. Riho bombing it to the other side. The desperation attempt. It's too desperate. Shot there from motion. Nugget almost a redirect. To Die For saves. Yet another save registered. for this player who does it all on every end of the field. Limitless, they won your first qualifier of this RLCS season, but we weren't able to broadcast it here. Here today, we will see the win, if not for the miracle attempt of YMC.
Well, guys, your driver of the day is up, and I certainly am on my second screen going and voting because I know my man, Snowy, and the squad managed to come through. There's going to be a late goal coming out here from the side of Young Money Clan. But 2 seconds, 1 second, it's all textbook now. It's all academic. They can even put this one in. Nugget will to make it a more dignified loss, but a loss it is. Limitless going to be crowned your regional qualifier 2 champions.
Sweaty, to die for, and Snowy. Congratulations. Only 2 games dropped throughout this event, and the grand final secured once again for your leaders of SSA. There you have it, Graybeard. Your winners. You know what? We didn't sweep the desk, but you and we did get our prediction correct.
Yeah, we did. You know what, Machtwish holding out for a dream third qualifier, but you know the mathematics are such that it is still possible for Young Money Clan to make Copenhagen. In order for that, just to put that, I think Limitless have to finish 5th to 8th, and Young Money Clan have to win the third qualifier, and then they go to Copenhagen. But what this means for Limitless is that they just need to make semi-finals in the third qualifier, and they will book their seat and trip to Copenhagen. Now, guys, there's a stat I wanna mention right out the gate here.
Okay.
For the second qualifier, the goal difference between these two teams, YMC have scored 60 goals, conceded 48 for a goal difference of 12. Limitless have scored 86, conceded 22 for a goal difference of 64. I mean, that is just a remarkable performance, Ultrasm. And what a surprise, you and I having a chat here with a Limitless regional champion.
Man, it shows these guys have worked hard. Let's give credit. And they're doing it. They're doing it in every sense of the word. They've got their defense locked when they're up against a strong opposition. They're putting in goals cleanly. That's something Young Money has been struggling to do the whole weekend, was just get that finishing blow. But Limitless is there. All of their players are working. All of them are coming together as a side, whether you're asking them individually to pull off the mechanics that they need, if you're asking for the rotations, they were there and clean every time. The composure that they kept on the baseline. I don't think we saw more than maybe 1 or 2 double commits from the Limitless side throughout that entire grand finals. This is a team that a region should be proud to send off to a major event like that. We've been wanting SSA to step up to a world stage, and this is the team that has the potential and now seems to be unlocking that potential in every way you could ask of them.
All right, so there's going to be an extended breakdown of that grand final series because, of course, there is going to be an interview. So that's just getting set up and locked in. So you'll have the 3 of us breaking this down in detail until then. And then Pyro, it seemed to me, look, that was a very entertaining series. I thought it seemed a lot closer than the first grand final 2 weeks ago. It was very hard fought. It seemed very high paced. And in my mind, Limitless seemed to have the better of the aerial game in making those aerial 50s. They always seem to just get there slightly ahead.
They've definitely got the one step ahead approach, but I'll tell you this. The last minute of gameplay tends to really be in favor of Young Money Clan. This is a team who always have fight left in them. And that's something you really got to respect out of this team, is their ability to come back and to really go toe-to-toe with Limitless. Another thing I want to say about this team is that throughout this event, I think it's been Nugget to really raise the eyebrows of a lot of players. I mean, that guy is presenting opportunities left and right, but in game 1, it's very silent. Really worked up to a better standard as the series went on, but it was really motion to surprise a lot of people and set up those plays and make those great shots. It does feel to me like maybe the peak of Young Money Clan is still yet to be seen. because at times it's Riho popping off at the late game of the series, Motion at the start, but Nugget quiet. If all three of these players are moving exactly the way we want, this grand finals continues to be, if it will be a rematch in the next qualifier, one to keep our eyes peeled for.
And I'm going to ask this to you, Alt, and I say this not, and I'm not trying to be facetious about this. I mean it quite generally. You know, the general conversation about the whole region thing has been, well, it's going to benefit SSA in the long run. These players who are coming into the region are going to help uplift the skill of the players. But I want to make the comment here that I think this rivalry we're seeing here in this grand final, I think Limitless are doing wonders to make Young Money Clan a better team.
Yeah, as Pyro says, this is a team of the future to watch, at least in our region, hopefully in the world stages, because they have adapted. They did better this week than they did 2 weekends ago. I mean, mathematically, it's obvious, but also when you look at the individual way that they're playing, they have stepped up quite a lot compared to the other import teams that we've seen come in here as well. You know, everyone, when you play against a better team, steal, sharp, and steal. It's as simple as that. You're going to learn how to play. Limitless is an incredibly fast team. And again, I think it's a different flavor than what you get to see from a team that has ground as much as YMC has in the European stage. When you get to see people from other regions and get to actually play against them, you learn a different method of playing, and you pick and choose which of those pieces you can take with them. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to adapt, and YMC did need to adapt for a long period of time in the previous regional qualifier. But right now, they're getting the hang of it. You could see the challenges were more efficacious. The passes were beautiful. The way that YMC approached this game was on a different mentality than what they did previously. And they actually came so close on so many opportunities to pushing this all the way to potentially even a game 7.
Well, a fantastic, a fitting grand final. It didn't get as tense as it could have. I mean, that game, the fourth game came close. You felt the Young Money Clan could have taken that. Then it would have been a different complexion. But there we are. So before we get to the interview, driver of the day. You've been voting for your driver of the day. And as we've been saying, I was going to ask.
Yep.
I was going to ask for the pick of the desk, but it's up there. Snowy is the RLCS SSA Grand Final Championship Sunday driver of the day. How you feeling about that one, Pyro? Good pick.
Absolutely. Snowy came alive, especially in this grand finals. He's got the best shooting percentage out of that grand finals at 35% as well, averaging a goal a game and about 3 shots a game as well. This is a player who drives the offense of the team for Limitless. He is the mainstay of that top team from SSA, and an impressive and a worthy pat on the back there for Snowy for driver of the day.
And I think Ultra's about to die for. Oh, Snowy's going to be having a word with to die for. Like, okay, it's not all about you, young man.
I mean, deservedly so. Snowy was my driver of the day at the end of it. He played fantastically from the back line, making sure that goal was always secure at every step of the way. The number of backboard reads that he denied from his opposition, and that was one of the key parts of the gameplay that YMC has used so well over the weekend. But he was there constantly, and then not just that, he was there to bump or at least capitalize on the bumps. And I don't know if Snowy's going to be too harsh to die for. To die for was being a menace in the back lines of his opponents throughout the series. But I mean, that sort of ability to take the maturity, to take the stuff that you've learned from every competition over 6 or 7 years now, to be that stalwart of the scene as a whole, I think, regardless of what anyone's personal opinions are of any player on the Limitless side, they are here showing why they know what they're talking about. They can back up everything that they say with some amazing performances.
All right, well, driver of the day, 16-time regional champion. Coming in to have a chat with the desk, we have Snowy. So, Snowy, here you are again. We're becoming intimately familiar with the little knickknacks you've got on the shelf behind you. But I'm going to fire out. So we were talking, you're driver of the day, and I thought you would have words with To Die For about that. Ultrazum thought you'd go easy on him. I've not known you to go easy on anything. So driver of the day, you can have words with To Die For.
Words about what?
Being driver of the day. Norm To Die For is a legendary stat padder, stealing all the glory at the end, and he didn't make it today.
Yeah, he is a stat padder, that's for sure. But it really doesn't matter, to be honest. It's just like a small little thing. I won't even talk to him about it, to be honest. He never has an off series. He's always having amazing series. So yeah, it's a nice little thing, but it won't really disrupt us at all.
All right, well, that was a frivolous question to get things going. For more serious stuff, I'm going to hand you over to Alt.
Snowy, we're getting very good at this stage at having these conversations, and you've always been one who keeps your cards very close to your chest. But this is now kind of starting to get a different conversation. Previously, it's all been about wildcard slots, and at that stage, there were 2 up for grabs, so you kind of were shooting. Is this a little bit of a relief for you? Because now you've effectively said, okay, we don't even have to have the best performance of our lives in the next regional qualifier. We are looking ahead to Copenhagen.
To be honest, that's not what we're thinking. I think our goal and our focus is just to improve again as a team. I think we improved a little bit compared to the last regional. We dropped some games here and there, which is a little bit annoying. I think we forgot some of the stuff at certain times while we were playing. And the goal is just to win in 2 weeks' time. I think it's really exciting and amazing that the possibility to go to the major is there, and that we finally included in majors. But for us, our goal is always just to win. I think if we went into the 3rd open qualifier and we went out top 4, we came 2nd, I think that would be pretty devastating as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense, Snowy. I mean, you mentioned improvement. I want to actually go off that if you don't mind. We've discussed on the desk sort of the gap that you've created between you and a lot of the other teams on this region. I mean, you left 1 goal to be conceded in the semifinals. That is a massive, massive showcase there. You mentioned that you're focused on improvement, and it seems like you're improving even quicker than other teams. I want to hear from you, and maybe a statement to other teams here. How are you guys doing that? What are the methods in place, without sharing too much, about your improvement? You're at the top, but still, you seem to expand that gap.
I think the first thing as far as improvement goes is just, us individually grinding the game. Us having that time to ourselves where we're practicing and improving and learning things just on your own, that solo grind. And then, when we come together as a team, we obviously try to scrim as much as possible, and we try things in those scrims. And then, once we try them, we also review them, and we just pay very close attention to our game, because the goal really is to just become as good as possible. And, when we get to an international stage, we don't want to just be a write-off. We want to actually compete with those teams, and those teams are incredible. And to compete with them, we really need to be like a well-oiled machine, and that sort of encompasses all aspects of the game. Mechanical, team play, and also communication as well. So we just constantly, discussing it amongst ourselves, reviewing it, and working on all that stuff to make sure that we can keep up that improvement.
And speaking on that game, Snowy, because I do want to dive into the grand finals, you mentioned improvement and tailoring that to the teams you play. Does the strategy change? I mean, in this whole theme of players playing on a much higher ping, which you know of very well and many other SSA players know very well. Does you as a team, does your strategy change and adapt when you know you're playing a team that isn't necessarily local to your region?
Yeah, it 100% changes. I've mentioned it in the past, but the fact that we know we're playing against players who are on that ping, and us specifically, we know that ping better than anybody else because we spent the better part of 5 years grinding ranked on that ping. So we know exactly what they're seeing on their screens. So we certainly do change some things in order to give ourselves an advantage when we're playing against teams who have higher ping. But with that being said, for this event specifically, we didn't actually do a single scrim against a high ping team. And I think that showed a little bit. I think the only 2 games we dropped in this regional were both against high ping teams, and they were both just like sort of like once-off unique games where sort of we weren't really expecting a few things. So that was probably as a result of just not scrimming those teams. But yeah, it 100% changes because we know exactly what they're seeing and we know what to do to make their lives harder.
Snowy, I got to get you to solve a discussion that Greybeard and I were having earlier, and it comes down to your team comms. You mentioned that that's something that you're obviously working on right now. You guys have been playing for a while together. I mean, you are now officially one of the longest standing rosters, and I mean, you and To Die For obviously have been teammates for as long as history can remember. When it comes to your comms, is it starting to get to that point where it almost feels natural on what you're going to be doing and you just fill things in with basic updates of boost and position, etc.? Or is the comms starting to get frantic and like detailed methods that you're going into a little bit? I don't know, Greybeard, if that's how you would phrase it, but just give us a basic taste of what it's like to be in Discord with you guys.
Comms are actually like one of our biggest points that we work on, because they really, it doesn't really matter how long you've been together as a team. They don't really, that doesn't just guarantee that you have good comms. And I think, like I said, it's one of the areas we work on the most and one of the areas we struggle the most, because it's very difficult, when you're playing such a fast-paced game like Rocket League to communicate accurately, and then you add on top of that the fact that we're communicating online through a Discord server. There's like a slight bit of delay. So yeah, it's not great all the time, to be honest. And it's very tough to get right, but it's such a huge part of the game. And when you do get it right, that's when you start, really taking your level up, because you need to know what's going on with your teammates, because you don't see the whole field at once, and you don't see other cars around you. You don't have eyes on the back of your head. So the communication is super important.
Well, for the people trying to get better, what would good communication, if in your mind, really look like for you and your team?
I mean, it's pretty much just stating like all of your intentions and your positioning at all times, but without saying so much that you cluttering the comms and you're not hearing what your two other teammates are saying. So it's really tough to find a good balance. But basically, it's just saying what you're doing so your teammates know what to expect. Calling out certain pieces of information that they might not be privy to, and again calling your position so they know where you are at all times.
Nice. All right, and then my last question is really, and I don't know if it's a fair question, and I'm hopefully not putting you on the spot there, but in my mind, there is clearly there is something that Limitless are doing that is better than others. Outside of the great comms, the great mechanics, and how you are individually and as a team, in terms of a mindset, a grind set, I don't know how we say that, but if I were to ask you, Snowy, to deliver a message to the young up-and-coming players in the region, and Ultrazim and I were having a great conversation. He's got a student at his school who's 13 years old, making his way through. He's so keen to grind, to get into the competitive scene. But it's not just about being good in Rocket League. There is something that you guys are doing that is different to everybody else. What would you deliver as a message in terms of how they approach their intent to compete?
I think it just comes down to like a deep desire to compete and win specifically, and couple that with really strong motivation and a good work ethic. It's pretty much just that. I mean, there are other factors that like whether someone has more talent or not, or their life circumstances or whatever. But basically, it's just like you really just have to want it more than other people. And I think to all the young SA players out there, it's very important that you guys keep grinding and you want to do well. You want to succeed and improve and get up to the current best South African players level, and even further that for future. Like I said, we want to be competitive on the world stage, and ultimately we're doing our part at the moment, but in future it's going to be on your shoulders. And yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say on that topic. I just they just need to want it. And RLCS it's a big thing. It's important. It's a prestigious event, and we're very privileged, to be here in South Africa and to have this opportunity. So I think if players can just sort of wrap their heads around the fact that this is like quite a big deal, like especially for us locals, I think they can wrap their heads around it and then just get behind that work ethic and just have that desire to get where they want to go, and that is just to be the best level of Rocket League possible that they can be locally.
Outstanding. Well, I think I see more conversations in some sort of content, whether it's podcast or whatever, to break that all down, because I think there's a lot to unpack. But as a first message, outstanding. I think that's a great message for people to take on board and go with it. But once again, Snowy, great to have you again, as we so often do, and good luck for qualifier number 3 and locking down that LAN in the major in Copenhagen. But Snowy, Limitless, and your team to die for, and Sweaty, huge congratulations, regional champions.
Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, like it always is. It's the saddest part of the day. I hate this segment. Out of everything we do, this is my worst, because all of that build up and the butterflies on Friday when we got started. Are we ready? Is everything okay? And then now we are here at the end. So from you, Pyro, your closing words for the evening.
Oh, man. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment, Greybeard. I'm honestly just privileged and honored to be here to broadcast part of this and to have this on a centralized broadcast. I think we need to celebrate that a little bit. Finally, yes, we all got to witness together this region's Rocket League. And you know what? It's a very unique flavor of RLCS 2024's version of the competition and who is SSA and who is the best of SSA. But you know what? It's kind of like Dad's cooking. It's unexpected and maybe unappetizing to some, but it's when it's in front of you, and I'm gonna make the most of it. I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna enjoy it, and I did today. So congratulations to Limitless, and I think we have a great, very exciting Qual 3 on our hands in 2 weeks.
All right, Dad's cooking it is. Fabulous, Pyro. Thank you. Altruism.
I think the state of Rocket League in sub-Saharan Africa has changed compared to a year ago. And we say this kind of at key points in every one of our 3 seasons that we've had so far. But this year is very different. It's Dad's cooking. But in a way that it's kind of highlighted what the general state of our scene looks like in terms of the divisions of skill. We've still got Limitless, a team we can be so proud of, sitting at the top there, taking on all challenges. Bonjour played today. We saw Bonjour played yesterday. Mongolia played today. 2 other local teams who've always been there and sort of nipping at the heels of Limitless, but kind of also settling down into more of a rigid structure. And then, of course, all the other teams who tried out for this, but didn't make it here today. And I think that the best message that could go out to anyone, regardless of how you entered, how you left, I think Snowy said it right. People should be looking to play the best Rocket League that they can. It doesn't matter what your opponents are. It doesn't matter where they're from. At the end of the day, we're all trying to just be the best players that we can be. And I think that that's the attitude. Don't get caught up in the politics. Don't get caught up in the, but these people are... No, enough of that, guys. Play the best Rocket League you can, and it takes you to a massive stage. Snowy has said it in every one of his interviews. He's never let what other people have said about him or his team get to him. And he's sitting at the top right now, driver of the day on Championship Sunday. That is what it takes to be the best, is play your best. And I really want to see that as the attitude going forwards. And I think that that's the best way that everyone is going to compete and keep improving.
Preach it, teacher. All right, well, that's going to bring us to an end. So much of Rocket League around the world exists because of passion of people who just love this game. If we look at things like ball chasing and there are so many things done by so many communities around the world to make the community globally work. But I don't think anywhere else in the world, there is no other region in the world that drives on as much passion as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we're a small region, we're a close, tight-knit community, but we are driven. The people who do what they do it because they love the game, they love the players, they love everything about it. And that extends to this sort of broadcast. The work of ACGL, the entire last season, run purely on passion. The roster of talent that come on to cast, to host, to make it all happen, driven solely and only through passion. And I want to shout out to them because I stand in awe of what they do. The guys in the background. I mean, this production is fantastic. It is 2 people grinding their asses off to make sure that it happens. The admins, Noob Slice and what they do. And then, of course, Pyro, Ultrazim, Machtfish, Bromeo, and all of the Muzz, all of them that come here and do this. It's fantastic. Long may it continue. This is SSA. This is Rocket League. And this has been Open Qualifier number 2. See you in 2 weeks.